XboxEra podcast is powered by you. And if you want to support us, you can do so via Patreon. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra. And as a thank you for your support, you get cool stuff and we get to keep doing what we do. Now let's get into it. Hello friends and welcome to episode 130 of the XboxEra podcast. I'm Sika Mechanico and I'm back and I'm joined as per usual by Special Nick.
What's going on?
I'm wearing your catchphrase as an item of clothing today.
Oh, you are too. I didn't even notice that until literally now that you said it.
Well, you know, I'm not standing up and you know,
I also have a top with my name on it.
So we're basically just all, you know, kissing your ass today.
It's all about me.
It's all about this. The Nick Show. Let's rebrand it. The show. It was last week. It was the Nick Show. Before we get into what we've been playing and other things, I was secretly kind of glad I missed last week's show because as soon as I saw that Mario movie trailer, and you do not have my permission to rant about it for any additional amounts of time.
No. I ranted about it heaps.
But I was like, he's going to go off on one on that show. I'm so glad I'm not going to be there. And then I listened to it and I could see Soul Blazers slowly dying inside. So, yeah, it was fun. It was fun. We've got Jesse here as well in the background, making things look beautiful. And we're going to do things a little bit differently today.
We'll still start the normal way.
We're still going to start.
Yeah.
Then there'll be an exciting moment. Video games, lots of drama this week, but before we get into that, been playing anything new?
I downloaded Scorn, have not started it yet. Apparently, according to XboxEra, it's not the best game. It's allegedly quite divisive.
I've played it for about 10-15 minutes. And, you know, graphically,
it looks nice.
It's very pretty. And if you really love Geiger, I get it.
Okay.
But everything else just felt very bare bones. And honestly, I got to the first puzzle and I was like, okay, these rails can be moved. I can spin this stuff. I can move this thing. I've got to get up this elevator. And I was just like, I've got to go back up there and you know, trial and error and figure this bit out.
It's short, isn't it? It's pretty
it's only 5 hours. I'll probably go back to
if you know what to do, you can beat that game in 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Wow.
Saw someone do
Are
that.
the achievements easy?
No, you have to. Well, I mean, you do the entire game, you probably get 10 of them. There's only 11. Some can be missed, but they're not too bad.
All right. So I might guide it. I might just play the whole thing with a YouTube guide open to the side and just go through it to get the 1,000 then, if that's the case.
But yeah, a bit divisive.
Nice.
A bit divisive.
Nice.
That review, right?
Yeah. Well, I think us and VGC with the
games
same lines.
There was four. There was four that were
was there?
4 below. There was a bunch of 5s, and then there were like a bunch of 8s and 9s for people who just really like horror and Geiger.
Yeah.
I
wonder how much the visual style played a role in those scores. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting. I'm not going to name other reviews, right? But I read a couple, and they were very much like the looks, the feel, the atmosphere. And then like the short paragraph that vaguely touched on, is there an actual game to play here?
And that's what I mean. That's why I wonder how much
like,
the art style played a role in those scores, which
probably quite a bit.
I've never been a fan of. Like graphics, I don't know. The visuals, they're not the least important thing, but I don't know. They've always been right down the totem pole for me in terms of what's important. Like, and we've had this discussion to death about how most of the biggest games in the world aren't the best looking ones, like Minecraft, like Roblox, like Fortnite. Fortnite is still a great looking game in its own way, don't get me wrong. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. But speaking of graphics above all, I did finally beat The Last of Us Part 2.
Did you love it?
Nope. But I will say I'm doing and I tweeted this out, I'm doing my trophy run where I want to just clean up now and get all the trophies and get the platinum. And I've switched on what is ostensibly God mode. So unlimited ammo, unlimited crafting, unlimited, what's it called? The vision thing you have. All this stuff. So I've basically turned on God mode. And it makes the game so much more enjoyable. Like it's just
kind of like Tunic.
Yeah, it's so much better once you turn on God mode in The Last of Us Part 2. And I've been skipping all the cutscenes, of course. So the game... But I will say it's funny. Someone on Twitter was telling me how the second half of the game is much better than the first, which I did notice through my first playthrough. But then playing through it again now, I notice it even more. The first half of the game... it really goes out of its way to slow you down and just waste your time. Where the second half, the Abbey half, really, really picks up. Like it's the Abbey half is far, far better than the Ellie half. But yeah, so finally beat that. And thanks to console sharing, I've got Last of Us Part 1 to go through, and I'll have God of War Ragnarok in a few weeks to play.
Nice.
So yes.
Nice. Can't be bad. I've been cleaning up, jumping back into Lego Brick Tales, which the review for it dropped, was it Tuesday this week?
Yep. Yes.
So I wasn't really allowed to talk about it much last episode or the episode before even. But they gave me a good chunk of time with that. It's a really lovely little game.
I've played it on the iPad.
Yeah. Wait, are you thinking Builder's Journey or Brick Tales? You're thinking Builder's Journey. Yeah,
Yes. I'm thinking Builder's Journey. Sorry.
Builder's Journey is brilliant. I love Builder's Journey, but this is very much about building, and it's also got like some platforming stuff in there, like in terms of going around and solving puzzles and all via building things, of course. But it's also got some little Metroidvania type hints where you've got different powers, and then you can go back into the original levels and find all these new routes and unlockables, and it's just a very nicely made Lego game that I quite enjoyed. Quite enjoyed it.
I feel like they're all well made, though.
I think Lego have a pretty stern hand on the rudder for these dev teams, definitely.
I find that all the Lego games, regardless, feel very tight and polished and just nice, if that makes sense. They just feel very, very polished, all of them.
I would say
it's good.
That, as much as Traveller's Tales Lego games are insanely popular and great fun and full to the brim of content, it was really nice to play a Lego title that focused on what Lego actually is and not on the IP on which we're going to make a Lego game over, like Star Wars or Harry Potter or whatever. So there's less combat and, automated building where you just hold a button and the building goes and it was more like, build this bridge, it's got to be structurally sound, and you're like, okay, and you have to test it and redo it. It was zen. The only problem is the controls were a bit iffy in terms of placing blocks. And I would say for younger players, like if you're a parent listening to the show or watching the show today and you're thinking, ooh, Lego game with building, I'll get that for my 5-year-old 6-year-old. My son is 8. He's pretty clever. Love you, boy. But he's a good chap, but he struggled, right? And even I got to certain points where I was like, oh, come on. Like, you get a set amount of objects and you've got to find your way to like 4 different bridges, and it's all got to connect, and it's all got to be structurally sound, and it can't fall over. Now. It's like, it gets tricky.
So if you're noticing why I keep looking off to the right, it's because I've actually got the show on to the side here for once, so I can actually see what's happening. But
you see the footage that was just on screen, that water puzzle. Like, I only could include a small clip of it, but honestly, 2 hours of various builds trying to capture all these water physics, and eventually I got one. And every time I ran the simulation, one little water pellet was just like, just on the rim. And it didn't count as complete. I was like, are you kidding me? Fun, but it's a good game. I would recommend just be wary of younger minds trying to battle with that control setting and system and stuff.
Well, it's funny you say that. You know what my son started playing? I know this is supposed to be about us, but it was just totally random. I had no idea he did it. And that's the beauty, I guess, of Game Pass and game sharing and stuff. Out of nowhere, I'm watching my son play some game and I didn't know what it was. He's like, oh, it's a zoo game. It's like, what?
Oh, let's build a zoo.
No. So I press I go, press your Xbox button. So he presses the Xbox button. He was playing Zoo Tycoon Ultimate Edition.
Oh, wow.
I was like, what?
It's a blast from the past.
He just downloaded it on his own, started playing it, and he's sitting there building a zoo, mucking around, driving the buggy around. I was like, I'm weirdly proud of him that he just up and did that all on his own. He just started playing Zoo Tycoon.
You'll be proud of my son. I know it's not the first one, but he came to me today and he's like, Dad, can you check your phone? And I was like, I really want to play it. I was like, are you really? Titanfall 2.
Ah, yeah.
And I was like, oh, what are you doing? The campaign? And he went, I want to play with Aiden online. It's his cousin. I was like, okay, Aiden's older than you. He's going to kick your ass. But okay. I thought it was broken as well. I was like, are you sure that's still up and working? I know it was hacked.
Titanfall 1, I don't think is anymore.
Titanfall 2 was hacked for a while, but I think they've gone back and fixed it for the most part.
Okay, well, I gave him permission because from memory there wasn't any gore in any particular way.
No, not really. Not super bloody or anything like that.
No, so... But yeah, that's
you can be a Titan and punch people into a bunch of red mist.
Red mist, hey? It's not going to warp any children's minds. I've got some whopping movie and TV tangents for you guys today as well. But let's not do that now. Let's do something crazy. And let's hit the Rumourmill button.
Rumourmill, yes.
Right now.
Yeah.
Rumourmill, you've never heard that before. It's the Rumourmill. Things change, we can't be sure. It's the Rumourmill. You know they may not come true.
The XboxEra podcast is not responsible for websites presenting these rumors as facts.
Okay. Yes, we're going a bit early. So there is a reason we're going early. And I don't even know if he's watching because I haven't seen him in the chat. We've got a little bit earlier with the Rumourmill because Tom Henderson doesn't want to be up all night. Because normally we have the Rumourmill at the end of the show. So a while back we had the Rumourmill with Battlefield 42 where we collaborated with Tom. We ran some stuff by him and he did an article. We did the Rumourmill. We're doing that again because about a year ago there was a bit of a data mine / leak for a new crew game. What was believed to be the Crew 3. At the time, it was called, I want to say it's called Project Orlando. And I think Tom was the first. He just abused me in Discord, by the way. And Tom was, I believe, the first to report on the Project Orlando leak. In the last few weeks, I got a whole bunch of stuff about this thing that I had never heard of at the time, which is believed to be a new or the new crew game. Info was a bit sketchy. I sent a lot of this stuff to Tom, or all of this stuff to Tom, and I've been chatting with him back and forth because he had already had some info. So he will have an article up probably now or very, very soon about it. So we can't show the screenshots, but we can describe stuff and give stuff. So this game was believed to be the Crew 3. I'm not sure if it still is the Crew 3 because there's no mention of the crew in any of the screenshots. Everything is Motorfest branded. So this seems like it's going to go head to head with Forza Horizon.
Interesting.
If you look at the screenshots, if you look at the branding of everything, the style of everything, it all looks very, very Forza Horizon.
Okay.
It's set in Hawaii, and at least the map I got is Oahu, the island of Oahu.
Wahoo!
I don't know if they're going to do it across the other islands or not. I'm not sure. Just Oahu is the map I have.
Okay.
There's a battle royale mode. What's it called? I'll look at the screenshots as we speak. Demolition Royale. So I assume that's its take on Forza Horizon's what's it called?
Eliminator. I think it's called that. Yeah.
Which, credit where credit is due, was split seconds mode first. But there's all these different characters in it. Pilu, I think his name is Tommy Tong, Corn Knight. I don't know if these are like fake player names or if they're character names, but the Motorfest branding is very prominent throughout. So I don't know if this is going to be called like the Crew 3 Motorfest or if it's just going to be called the Crew Motorfest, because I think this started life as Crew 2 DLC. I think this is how it started life, and it started to grow into something a bit more. But I'm not sure if it's... I think Tom's actually trying to find out. But I'm not sure if this is full-blown Crew 3 or if it's like an expand-alone type situation. That all that sort of stuff's not clear.
Yeah, this is Ubisoft, right? So
yes,
it would not surprise me, considering Ubisoft's MO. They've looked at how much of a successful games as a service Forza Horizon must be.
Yeah.
Let's do what they do. We've got a franchise.
Yeah, it does look nice.
Wasn't
like
Test Drive Unlimited? Wasn't Test Drive Unlimited? I know that's not the Crew, but that was set in Hawaii. Test Drive Unlimited 2, I'm pretty sure.
One of them was. I think one of them was. The car that seems to feature prominently in all these screens is... Do you remember the Honda S2000?
Yeah.
That was a cool little car. That's like that... Again, just based on the screenshots I've got, it's almost all the Honda S2000. So I don't know if that's just the car that was being used at the time or if that's going to be like a feature car. But yeah, the game does look nice. But if you see the visual style of everything and the way it's structured, it almost looks like this could potentially... Again, this is me just speculating now, please. And I don't think Tom's article is going to mention this. This is me speculating. It's almost looking like they may go free to play with this, potentially.
Interesting.
The way everything looks and the event stuff is structured, but I'm not too sure. But yeah, it looks nice, like visually, but it does seem very much like... The big focus is on Motorfest. So Forza Horizon had their Horizon Festival.
Yeah.
This has Motorfest. So that's the sort of stuff that makes me think this is going to be like their Horizon competitor.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So even though the Project Orlando thing, because I've got a screenshot that literally says Project Orlando as well. So the Project Orlando stuff had already been out there. The stuff that's new is this Motorfest stuff. Like, that's what I ran by Tom, and I said, was this stuff known, this Motorfest stuff? And he's like, nope. I was like, cool. Well, yeah, here's a bunch of Motorfest stuff. So it looks nice. How it's gonna all pan out, I don't know. When it's coming, I don't know. Don't know any of that stuff. I just know what I'm looking at here, and it's a nice looking game.
Oh.
It's a nice look. I mean, the Crew games were pretty good looking anyway, weren't
they? They were always quite pretty, yeah.
Yeah,
and it's. I mean, it clearly showed. Forza Horizon has clearly shown that there's an interest and a love for this type of genre of game in the market. I mean, if you think to arcade racing, I mean, well, we've seen the recent reveal of Need for Speed from EA, right?
Oh God, Unbound looks good.
Yeah, so that's a new take to try and bring a different perspective. I really admire it. I don't know if it's always going to land, but it's cool. But Forza Horizon has had the arcade racing scene kind of on
to
lockdown.
Itself.
Yeah. So yeah,
no, I could. I mean, Ubisoft knows how to do their games as a service, so I could see this carving out a nice little niche. Like, there's this really nice shot of almost like a big, giant, oversized warehouse / garage where all your cars are there under spotlights and these cool hexagonal spotlights, and yeah, the way they've done it, it looks really nice. It looks nice, but
top banana
when it's coming and all that sort of stuff, I don't know.
Well, we can then presume that to look at Tom's take via Insider Gaming, I'm going to go ahead and hazard a guess.
He's posting an article on Insider Gaming, his new website, which seems to be doing well.
Yeah, well, man, they only follow 2 people on Twitter. One of them isn't XboxEra, by the way, and they've already
really?
trumped us in followers in like 4 weeks, which is demoralising to say the least. But
That's that's leaks, isn't it? That's
it's
what
leaks for you.
do.
People love the leaks, you know.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'll have to have a talk to Tom about why none of us are followed.
Well, I know what it's like with a branded account. XboxEra doesn't follow anyone, like just anyone. They'll follow relevant industry people. Are you a relevant industry person? Who knows? Who knows, Nick?
Yeah.
But that's an interesting
I don't know,
and quite substantial.
Oh yeah, there it
rumour
is.
mill
His article's up now.
Oh, cool. So there you go.
His
So
article's
we'll
up
stick
now,
a link
so
out
check
in
it
the
out. Yeah.
the chat.
Put a link in the chat. Yeah.
But yeah,
He's got I think like an old promo shot on there. He doesn't have any of the shots I gave him. But yeah, the article's there. So that's the rumor mill. The rumor mill is about whatever this new crew game is. I'm not really sure if it's full blown Crew 3. It might be like this Horizon like offshoot, but not sure.
wow, interesting times.
There's Tom. Tom's in the chat.
He is.
Wrecked.
He's
Who
in
got
the
wrecked?
chat.
Look at that, mate. We're promoting your site, mate. Don't be like that.
Live.
Don't
I
be
quite
like
like how minimalist Insider Gaming is as a site.
that. Yeah, but it's purple. Purple's the best color.
It's a great
So
color
it's good-
scheme.
It's good that it's purple. Purple is the best.
Yeah, it's very nice. I'm curious what
Yes.
he's using at his back end. Is it WordPress? I'm curious.
Chat with him after. Actually, don't chat with him after the show because he'll be asleep. He's probably
He'll
going to
be
go to sleep now.
Because
He
he's
made
a Brit.
the request. He's
You're a
like,
Brit,
can't you
aren't
do
you,
the
Tom?
rumor mill early? He's like, can you do the rumor mill early? I'm like, that's the face I made. I didn't type like I made that face, but that's the face I made when he said that. I was
Are
like,
you seeing the chat? Are you still loving Tom, or are you feeling a little bit less love now?
Insider Gaming won't follow scrubs that lie. Sorry, Nick. What an asshole.
If you really want to rub that in, Tom, just give my account a follow and just let that one sit for a couple of weeks. That will just cheer him up inside.
Let us marinate.
Yeah, Tom, are you a Brit? Is Tom a Brit?
I think he is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is.
Well, then the wonderful Sukia Brood has just popped on to say, hang on, if he's a Brit, why is it Rumours on Insider Gaming and not Rumour, as is the correct spelling?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I thought he was a Brit.
Yeah, he paid
Maybe
you a
I'm
bunch
wrong.
of pounds earlier this year, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Tom's a Brit. And the way he was swearing at me would indicate he's a Brit.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he's a Brit.
It's interchangeable between Aussies and Brits for the most
Yeah,
part.
that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
The way he was swearing at me, it would indicate that he's a Brit.
Yeah,
pretty
Tom,
sure.
I know that feel. All of my office applications default to American spelling, and it drives me nuts when I look at documents. Anyway,
Wrong
so that's
spelling.
that's the rumor. And in other news, and it was slightly spoiled by a very impatient Xbox Era supporter named Somnia. We've made the decision to turn on YouTube memberships, which is live right now, and you can become an Xbox Era supporter on to YouTube's. We haven't fully ironed out the kinks, but across YouTube memberships and Patreon, we are going to be working on some form of exclusive additional content that will stay with you guys first, and then follow like the next month for all of the non-supporting folks that just consume. So yeah, if Patreon's not your jam and you want to live your
look at that.
good life on YouTube,
Tom is one.
respect
How
on
good's that? Good on him.
Look at that. That's glorious. So
That's
it really
nice.
helps us out. We've got a bunch of initiatives
Bob
coming
as well.
coming forward over the next couple of months. We're just kind of foot to the floor in finishing the book. We're genuinely nearly there. There's not much more to say apart from a massive editing and proofreading process, more or less now. Holy!
there's your answer, Somnia.
My
Oh,
good
wow.
lord! Wow! Congrats.
How does that work?
I have no idea. Like,
It goes
How
to
does
20
that
random.
work?
They're a thing on it's going to start popping.
Oh,
through now.
wow,
It'll
look at
grab
that. It's just
subs. It'll
randomly
grab people who are
gifting
subscribed
memberships
to our
now.
channel. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Today
Tom,
we
that's
learned
really
once again,
nice.
Tom Henson's a pretty generous guy.
I take back all that horrible stuff I said about you. I take it all back.
You mean all the stuff off air before we hit live?
Yeah, all that stuff I said about
You can
Tom,
tell
I take
Nick
all
and
of it
Sick
back.
we don't do much on Twitch because
It's not £100
Yep.
a month. No,
Yeah.
they're
20
pretty
of them at
reasonable.
once is.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy, man.
Oh, wait, is he subscribed for those 20?
I think
No.
it's only the gift will only be for a
Gifted
month's
memberships
worth.
do not auto renew.
Yeah,
No.
Oh,
So it's just
God. I was about to be like,
that-
dude,
that
what'd
would
you
be
just
silly.
do?
Emil,
What'd you just
oh my
do,
god,
man?
Emil got one.
Emil got one. I love it. So we're doing all of this because we've got so much stuff going on. There's something cool we're launching in early November. The book is nearly finished, and honestly, after that, as we head into Christmas, the genuine hope is we can all take a little bit of a rest. This year has been crazy.
I know, I've been working like off the charts.
Well, I don't know. I think Jesse probably is the one that deserves the most rest. Did Tom just gift another 20, or am I going insane?
No, he did. It looks like.
Yeah, he did. What's he doing?
Tom, I'll just DM you my bank details.
Did that crew article make that much money already, did it?
Yeah, it's already got 40,000
Bring it in.
views.
What an absolute ledge.
Oh, wow, that's so good. Well
Come
done.
on, folks.
By the way, I want to... Bob Lawpel became a supporter, so I want to thank him for that, because he's also a patron.
He is.
I will admit, Bob, for a while there, mate, I was disappointed in you. I thought you had left us
He came
for
back.
Jez and Rand. Because I was watching Jez and Rand and I saw your name pop up. I'm like, wow, Bob left us and went to Jez and Rand. And like, Rand's a horrible person. I'm like, you shouldn't be leaving us for Rand.
Horribly
That's not
funny
nice.
with how much he makes fun of you.
I'm
Man.
sorry about that yesterday, Nick.
Yeah, what's
could-
with that? You're meant to have my back. You're meant to have my back.
I do.
Rand gives Jez crap on their show, but Rand doesn't give Jez crap anywhere else, just on their show.
You know, it
Mate,
was just a spot of bants, wasn't it? A spot of bants. It made me
unbelievable.
laugh.
I jumped into Xbox 2 and someone's like, Nick, go watch the start. Like, they were actually saying really nice stuff about you. But now, as soon as I read that, I'm like, I don't believe that for a single second. And then when I woke up later and I was home just watching the kids, I was like, oh, I'll go back to the start and I'll watch it. Man, seriously.
Yeah, it was all in good humor. So, which I knew you would take it in that way, right? So, it was a good laugh.
Did I though?
Did you secretly inside?
Did
You're
I?
like,
Did I though?
would you like a round trees random? They'll make you feel better.
I
No,
can't believe Tom gifted all those memberships. My God.
Tom's an absolute legend, as I am typing right now.
Yeah. That's really good. There's also a super chat. Where is it? It's been buried by all the memberships. Soulless Curve. I'm normally a quiet listener, but thankful for you. That's good.
Oh, I'm
hope we
feeling the
can-
love. I'm feeling
hope
the
we can
love in
bring-
the Xbox Era podcast tonight.
Some kind of entertainment or help pass time away for people.
Well, look, let's be honest with all of our new YouTube members and our patrons. The very good likelihood is there'll be some form of movie discussion podcast as an extra, maybe once a month kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we're looking to see what we can do to support that kind of thing.
We've got ideas.
We've got ideas, so we're fleshing it out, baby. We're fleshing it out. There's another one from Tai Casares as well.
Yeah, Tai
So-
Casares. Nick, did you have to get the canoe out to go shop?
I saw someone in the chat mentioned floods
yes.
in Australia.
There's floods in Melbourne. Like, the whole eastern side of Australia is like hardcore flooding. I'm lucky. It's rained heavily, but I've escaped the flooding. There are parts. There's a couple of little parts around our suburb that have flooded, but there are parts of Melbourne that are like, full underwater. Very heavy rain. I can't wait for the weather to get better. The weather coming up this week is supposed to be really good though, which is good.
Oh well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Blimey, well, what a
Yes.
start to the show.
Half
today.
an hour in, and we have not started talking about the news yet.
No, true, but there's been a lot of drama this week. There's
Should we
drama
start with the
going on
smaller
today.
stuff?
Oh, wait, well, the one thing I did want to start with, and I had like this way of thinking, and now it's popped out of my head. There was something specific I wanted to cover off, I suppose, for want of a better phrase, but it's gone right out of my brain. So yeah, I guess we can start off with the smaller stuff. Phil's shelf. Should we talk about Phil's shelf?
Phil's shelf. What do you reckon that was? So, what was Phil doing there with that shelf? What was it? An interview? Was it just a?
He was
random...
showing off the Fallout Vault Boy 25-year anniversary statue thingy that had come to visit and had taken up situ on the shelf.
Okay, and everyone noticed that white. I actually thought that looked like a white Connect. That's what it looked like to me. It looked like a white Connect.
I guess because you can't see how long it is.
Yeah,
you've just got the bar.
I'm not saying it is a white Connect. I'm just saying it looked like a white Connect. It probably looks too small to be a Connect because it's next to a controller there, and the controller looks quite big next to it. So I assume it's not a Connect because the Connect was quite large. But people are obviously speculating that is the streaming device.
Yes, the Keystone is the rumored.
But don't we think that's a bit big for that?
Well, if you think it's probably got to have a decent sort of chip in it to decode streams, and it's got to have an HDMI. It's got to have Bluetooth for the pad. It's got to have Wi-Fi 6. It's a little bit more than just a puck, right, or a dongle like a Fire Stick or a Chromecast. So the size, I wouldn't surprise me if that's not very deep. I would imagine it's like yay big. It's probably as deep as a pad is wide, if you know what I mean. I don't think it's probably a little more than a square, but a very small square.
But it doesn't look deep from what I'm seeing. It doesn't.
But it's
look
on the
deep
top
at
shelf,
all.
isn't it? So we can only see its front face and not.
No,
much
I understand
else.
that, but like, again, this is all about angles and perspective now. But if you look at the stuff on the extreme left of the shelf, you can kind of see their depth. If that thing had depth, you'd probably see it.
Yeah, I suppose so.
What?
Sorry, Somnia just gifted another 10 subs. I was just like,
just
my God,
gifted.
everyone's going insane
Oh,
today.
wow. Why is everyone doing... Are these memberships like a few cents each or something? Is that why, everyone's gifted?
$5.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Which is incredible. So I'm just like,
Wow.
This is where we're
adding
like, why did we
emojis on
turn
the
this
fly. We keep getting more and more slots, so I can add more and more emojis.
The emojis are coming. All of the, and I think we're getting some good XboxEra themed emojis.
We'll have to take some from the Discord.
I think that's what Jesse's
That's where I'm
used.
getting from. I can't make them.
I don't know. To me, it doesn't look that deep. Like the perspective, that looks skinny. Not that it couldn't be skinny. Maybe it is skinny. If it doesn't have any hardware that needs to run games, then yeah, it could actually be really skinny. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Design-wise. Because we don't really get that much in the home entertainment electronic device space. We don't get stuff that's wide and thin. We usually get long.
Yeah.
Generally. So that would actually be quite interesting if it was wide. So I guess what they want to do there is when it's in your living room, you know, they want it to be prominent front facing and you see the Xbox logo, this, that, the other. But then it's not very deep, so you can just have it right up against the wall, or it's not taking up much space, like its footprint is real small. It's very interesting. Like, I mean, we know Phil has hid hardware in the background before, like the Series S. So, yeah, I'm really interested to know if that's the thing we think it could be.
Well... It's interesting, and this takes me off a little tangent, right? So we obviously heard rumors of this device. We also heard that from Microsoft, I think they made a statement at the time where they were like, yeah, it was a thing. We're rethinking things a bit. Nothing to announce. So they admitted its existence, right? So this has obviously probably got to the point of full-on take-home tests in some capacities, is what I would imagine. And earlier, a few weeks back, we saw the announcement of the Logitech cloud-only streaming device, the handheld. Today, we saw at RazorCon, they announced their $399 Android-based gaming-focused
Oh,
handset.
I didn't see that.
With the Kishi Pro 2 as an attachment to it, with all of its, fancy stuff, for $399 as well.
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
It's probably while I was
it was
asleep.
like 6 hours ago, something like
And
that.
it doesn't
Okay,
matter if
I
you
was
see it
just
because it's US only.
Yeah, it's
Is
not
it?
over here yet because I think it's probably handset, carrier.
Yeah, it is tied to Verizon at the very start.
So that was a cool announce, but it just got me thinking. We've got the Game Awards coming up. Do you remember like when the uproar when Microsoft revealed the Series X at the Game Awards out of nowhere, and
What
how they
uproar?
kept
The whole thing was muted. And
come on, the general reaction was like, "Holy what?"
It's the Series X. Microsoft's new
maybe not
console.
Keely's personal response to
Get
having
excited.
a reveal like that. There you go, guys. It's the
Hey,
Xbox
look.
Series X.
It's the new Xbox.
Anyway,
Wow.
but yeah,
Anyway, The Last of Us Part 2.
I just mean the general cool positive reaction from the community because it was just such a surprise. There was no leaks, there was no teasing. It was I think the first time we'd seen like hardware like that revealed.
Yes.
Completely not on a Microsoft stage, and I just got to daydreaming, seeing all these handhelds coming around. Is what if Microsoft have their own? And they're going to show it off. And what if it... But here's the thing. Here's where I started to worry. I was like, they've got partners, right? I'm just spitballing here. This is not based on any knowledge, right?
Mm.
But if I were Microsoft and my partners were coming to me and saying, hey, we've got this hardware idea. We want to share it with you. Hey, we've got this hardware idea. What do you think? Yep, we'll work with you. We'll allow you to have, access and the app and all of this. Great. Now, in a similar way to how Surface is meant to be the best of Microsoft,
Yes.
and then their OEM partners like HP or, Lenovo will go and do their takes on Windows devices. What if we're going to see the Surface version of that type of handheld? So not a Series S in a handheld, but a Microsoft Xbox branded handheld,
xCloud handheld.
and my worry is that that's what the handheld that has been rumored is actually going to be, and that would make me really sad because I want native.
I reckon eventually they're gonna do a full blown Series S portable. I reckon we will. I reckon they'll give all these cloud ones room to breathe, because like, if they were to release, in a hypothetical world where they release a Series S portable now, it would cut the lunch of all those cloud portables. Like, no one would touch them.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I mean.
Start to compete with the Switch. Because people are like, well, hold on, I'm getting a portable, but it's more capable than the Switch is, and it can run my Fortnites and my Warzones and my Halo Infinites and my Rocket Leagues. Like, it's going to cut their lunch. Microsoft's not going to want to screw over the partners that are trying to that are helping them push cloud gaming.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's my thought. I'm like, maybe that is a ways off.
Oh, it probably would be. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Series S portable exists. I wouldn't be surprised if it's probably going to launch like with the mid-gen refreshes or something like that.
Speaking of which, that was the tangent that was in my brain. Insider Gaming was one of their articles was around apparent PS5 Pro and Xbox Series Pro dev kits being in hands with developers.
How sure? Like, I now haven't read the article. I did see it when I was looking for Tom's Crew article. But how? Because didn't that come from the kid that leaked the Rockstar stuff? Isn't that where that came
the
from?
data miner Tez2 has stated mid-gen upgrade dev kits, and I'm like,
how sure is he of that? Like, because my thing is, remember, dev kits have more of everything. So is he getting confused between the fact that the dev kit has more RAM, more this, more that? this
I was
again,
more,
this is
I
without
was
me
more
looking into
thinking,
it.
Is this more dev kits that have been refined but are not for new hardware?
That's what I mean.
revisions?
It feels early to have the mid-gen refresh dev kits. It feels a little bit early to me. But I could be wrong. Again, I haven't looked into the article or looked into any of it, so I don't know. It just feels kind of early to me. That's all.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect the mid-gen refreshes till probably closer to 2025. This hardware is very powerful. We don't need the mid-gen refreshes as desperately as we did last gen.
Yeah.
So to me, it feels more like a 2025 thing and have the gen last 10 years.
Makes sense to me.
So last gen lasted 7. I reckon they'll be pushing for this gen to last 10. So...
But yeah,
But
random
that's
tangent.
just me.
But it popped into my brain on the whole new devices from Xbox.
God,
but
Tom gifted 50 memberships.
I know.
He gifted 50 in the end.
$250 worth of memberships,
Oh my god.
which is £400. No, it's not. It's £100 worth of memberships now, because our country's screwed.
Yeah. But we have a couple of super chats as well while we're talking about memberships.
We do.
Solus Curve.
Again,
Also appreciate your love of games and no biases. I mean, I'm a little bit biased.
yeah, Nintendo, a little bit biased.
A little bit biased.
Thanks, Solus.
And Jay the Erp. Giving the CMA's attitude towards the ABK deal if it doesn't go through. I don't see the CMA allowing Sega or Capcom either. Also, Nick, are you going to keep your helmet on for Halo Season 2? I don't know. I've discussed it with the producers, and
No one
apparently
wants to
there's
see your ugly
demand
mug anymore.
to see my face, my very handsome face. So,
Can't be right.
I don't know. I think the helmet, got to give the people what they want. I understand wanting to see this. I get it.
Honestly. On the CMA stuff, Sega and Capcom, I know there's been talk about like what if Microsoft doesn't get Activision. We'll get into the all of the
We'll talk about it.
uproar in a bit, but there's no definitive record beyond was it Imran saying he's heard Japanese publishers are having conversations, but that's all conjecture and rumor at the moment. It's an interesting purple water bottle you got there, Nick.
Yep. Okay. Yep. All right.
Oh God,
What's the next
it's gone
topic?
crazy tonight. It's gone crazy.
What's the next topic? Hey, because so we've got two topics that effectively link into each other. So let's talk about that. So, Scalebound was in the news recently.
Yes, it was again.
Because Platinum, I think, was being interviewed or something, and someone like flat out asked them about Scalebound. Or was it Phil? I can't remember. Either Platinum or Phil were asked about Scalebound. And it was effectively a no comment. It wasn't it's never going to happen again. It was effectively a no comment. And apparently Phil, I can't remember if I'm getting Phil and Platinum mixed up, but one recently said no comment and one said no comment a while back.
Yeah, but
So people are
basically,
like-
it's no longer a no.
Yes,
And no
it's
comment
longer
in my
a
book
no.
means yes.
This isn't in development. It's like now everyone's seeing the no comment, and obviously the people that are excited and want it back are like, oh, no comment, no comment. I wonder if they would explore bringing it back.
I don't know why people get so like super hype about it. It never.
This
looked
first
particularly
trailer
great.
was good. I'm sorry, but this first trailer I got excited for too. The first one. All the subsequent trailers, yes, did not look the best, but this first one looked pretty damn amazing. But like the thing with this game is now, it would have to almost be started from scratch, wouldn't it?
You'd
Or
hope
no?
so. I
Because
don't
if
know.
it was Unreal Engine 4, which I can't remember, you'd have to correct me if I'm wrong. If it was an Unreal Engine 4 game, then yeah, you could theoretically just go, yep, we'll just keep working on it and move over to Series X, which has the hardware to run this properly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, for people that really loved the IP of a game they never played, that only looked okay
Look how cool this
once.
looks. To
I
me,
mean,
this looks
the
cool.
premise is great. A pet dragon kind of thing. You just go around
Yeah.
dragon riding and doing cool stuff. Yeah. But
That looks cool to me.
I don't know.
Hey, Jesse, what are the chances of you putting up a poll about whether people want to see Scalebound back?
It takes 3 seconds. 1 sec.
Okay.
Yes, he's putting
We'll
up
put
a
up a
poll.
poll. Let's see what everyone
what
in
the
the chat
community
thinks. If
thinks.
they want, I'm gonna vote too. Let's see if everyone wants Scalebound back. I'll click my vote. Look at that, 1 vote. Mine's like the only vote. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't mind it back. I wouldn't mind Scalebound back. If it needs to be adjusted and maybe scaled back a little bit in ambition, I don't know. But I don't know. I think it can work. I think it could work.
I mean, I won't say no. More games is always fun, and it could
But
be
don't
fun.
Platinum have a lot on their plate?
They have often seemed to take on a lot. They're a studio for hire, you know. So
The other
Maybe
issue
the
is the relationship.
yeah, maybe they've been acquired or they're going to be acquired, and that's why it's coming back.
Is the relationship a bit damaged from what happened with Scalebound? But then they've said publicly they'd be happy to work with Phil again to bring it back, I think.
Yeah, I mean that got cancelled in the. Well, it was before the rejuvenation, right?
Yes.
It was, before the good times started to roll in.
Yeah.
We're just still on the way. Still on the way. The good times.
Wait for E3. Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of started shaking then and laughing.
I wouldn't mind Scalebound back. I reckon it has a chance. I reckon it has a slim chance. But we'll see, I guess.
We will
2029.
The return.
But speaking of Platinum, this happened like just now, like just in the last few hours. So it's been revealed. So Helena Taylor, who is the OG voice of Bayonetta, she was not the voice in Bayonetta 3. And she has allegedly broken NDA to say the reason... Now, I didn't see the tweet. There's a tweet where she talks to a camera.
Yeah, I've watched
I assume her camera.
Yeah.
You did watch it?
I watched it. Yeah, she's like, look, I don't, I was only offered, I was professionally trained. I went to such and such arts academy.
Yeah, I saw
voice
that.
coach such and such. I was only offered
7 years at the School of London.
yes, yeah, like very, very British.
Yes.
But she was only offered $4,000 to do the voice work for Bayonetta 3, and what she's asked for in follow-up video was a boycott of the game, which is a bold move. If you're going to break NDA and just tell your story, fine, but then to request it, I mean, I get it, because that's an insulting figure of money.
Yeah, but it's only insulting if we know the context of the work. Do you know what I mean? Like, what if the role only required a handful of lines? I mean, I don't know how voice acting pay structure works, but like if you're paid per hour and you don't have a ton of hours involved that you're recording, 4,000 could be the right figure based on the number of lines or hours you're working.
Yeah, I don't.
But
know.
I didn't see the video to know the greater context, so this is just me speculating, I guess.
Yeah, I did see a tweet from Josh Sawyer, who's obviously the dev for Pentiment at Obsidian, where he was like, this is a really piss poor offer, like for any kind of standard voice work. You think about it, right? You're putting your voice, your talent, your skill because it's not just you say the lines. You might have to say the lines a bunch of different ways. It's grunts and jumps,
Grunts,
and
yeah.
all sorts of different stuff. But then if the game is sold $70 a pop across the world, it would only have to sell 60 copies or 70 copies or something like that. You know, it would less than 100 for that $4,000 to have been made. So if you think about how many copies of Bayonetta were likely to be sold, that is an absolute joke of a figure. I can understand her annoyance.
It's just tricky when you don't know voice actor pay structure, you don't know the standard rate, you don't know what her actual role was going to entail. But as a sideshow to this, Kamiya got his account blocked. Haha, sucked in, dickhead. His account on Twitter got suspended. He put out a tweet basically calling her a liar.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which is a bold move in and of itself. Because, I mean, she's been in voice acting for how long?
What reason is there for her to tell a lie?
To put her career on the line for a lie.
Yeah.
Where Kamiya is a known asshole. So...
Don't reply to me in English. You know the rules.
Oh, what a
You
dick.
typed it in English, motherfucker.
Dick. Like, yeah, you type in English and then you're like, don't respond to me in English. Are you all right? Like, are you all right in the head, dude? Does anyone know where I can get Forza Horizon 2? Here you go, Kamiya-san. Here's a free copy of Forza Horizon 2. No, you're blocked. You replied in English. Shut up, idiot. What a dickhead. Yeah, I mean, look, I assume he got suspended because people just started reporting the post like crazy. So probably
not
not
a
right
full
that
suspension.
he was...
It's like a notice that something's going on and that they're looking into this account.
Because he would have got absolutely report bombed for calling her a liar. But I've got no issue with him being suspended from Twitter. He's a jerk off. But yeah.
There you go. I did see Widya Santoso in the chat. It's just saying voice acting is covered by actors' equity pay scales. I don't know if that applies worldwide. I presume they're all part of some sort of guild or union or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like not a lot of money.
No, it doesn't sound like it, but it's hard without knowing the background stuff. Like, it's easy on the surface to say, oh my God, $4,000. But what if her involvement in Bayonetta 3 was only a few hours? Again, I have no idea. I'm just saying, like...
I mean, you put it this way, there's a lot of people, if we take the average wage, 4,000, no, average wage in the UK, if it was £4,000, that would be a month and a bit of a lot of people's work. Like
I understand that,
month.
but voice actors would be contract. They wouldn't be a salary. Voice
No,
actors
it would
wouldn't
be
be
a
a salary.
it would probably be a fixed fee of some description.
That's what I'm saying. So it's easy to just get the pitchforks out, but like, and remember, this is me. Like, I hate Kamiya. Like, I'm not trying to stand up for him or Platinum, but like, it's always good to know.
She's the main character. She would be doing the most talking because Bayonetta talks quite a bit in those games.
Yeah, she's always quipping. Yeah, she's always quipping when she does moves.
I don't remember her talk. Like, I've played the first one, not all the way or anything. I've played a bit of the first one, and I don't recall her talking too much. But that just could be because I haven't played enough of the game. I don't know. I remember her making a whole lot of noises, but I don't recall too much talking. But yeah, I found that interesting. Jay the Earp with the super chat. Xbox can't have Scalebound because it would cause Sony partial foreclosure. Yeah, I understood that reference.
Oh God. Bloody ABK.
Bloody ABK.
Hey, speaking of money, go on. What one were you?
Yeah, I was going to say before we go to ABK, I was going to talk about the Game Pass thing.
Oh, okay, go on then.
Yeah, no, go for it.
I was going to say, so one of the other pieces of news that came out, kind of because of the ABK deal, right?
Yes.
They revealed console only Game Pass revenue. I think I'm saying that correctly. $2.9 billion.
That's like, that means that's 2.9 billion Game Pass subscribers
on the $1
all on
offer.
$1.
Incredible.
All on $1.
They should be
2.
shouting
No
this
wonder
from
Sony's
rooftops.
so scared. They got 2.9 billion subscribers, Microsoft. No wonder Sony's so scared. Can't match 2.9 billion.
Yeah, that's a lot of $1
is
accounts.
very jealous of how many subscribers Game Pass has. And then the controversy was around, I think Colt sparked a little bit of discussion around saying it's definitely profitable, or he thinks it's profitable. But the problem is, in terms of what, whether Game Pass is profitable or not, because people are like, oh, well, they're not saying it's profitable. It's like, well, it's not that. You have to understand, like, it's not about them. If they're not saying it's profitable, that doesn't mean it's not profitable. Microsoft's in this weird spot in the market, and they're acutely aware of it, where anything they say is scrutinized to the nth degree, more so than the other two. So if Microsoft says that Game Pass is profitable, that won't be enough. Well, how profitable is it? If Microsoft says that right now we're in growth mode, we're still blah, 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 the profits are $10 million.
Yeah.
Then the story is, oh, Game Pass only made $10 million. Oh my God, what a waste of a service. So you can understand why Microsoft's not going to turn around and give that number, because it's just always going to be spun into a negative. Rather than saying, wow, Game Pass is profitable with, they've only got 25 to 30 million subs. It's in growth mode where they're giving out money like crazy to devs to get on there, and yet it's still profitable. Wow, imagine when they get 40 million subs, 50 million subs. Imagine, and when they get more first-party content on there and don't have to rely on as much third-party content, they're going to be even more profitable. Yep. That's the positive spin. The negative spin is, oh my God, they have no competition. They've got 30 million subs, and that's all they made. Oh God, yeah, it's profitable, but might as well not be. So that's why they're not going to give that number. They're just not going to. And how do you determine what the cost of Game Pass is? So are you including 70 billion of ABK as a cost of running Game Pass? Or are you strictly going by the Game Pass deals that they do for third parties and indies? But then you turn around and say, well, hold on, it's a cost to run these studios. But then the counter to that is, well, hold on, Game Pass isn't the only thing paying for these studios. So what even is the cost of Game Pass? What is it?
I don't think we're going to get an answer to that anytime.
That's what I'm saying. It's a more nuanced discussion than probably we even have the cognitive bloody
capacity
to support. Like, I don't think there is a clear-cut black and white cost of running Game Pass.
Because I would say it would vary year on year. It would, because you're absolutely right. The minute that those first-party studios are up and running, well, okay, we don't have to run out and go and get stuff from bigger third party. I mean, you're still going to.
Oh yeah, but they don't need to like they do right now. So
yeah, the offers are less on the table.
Yeah, they may not need MLB The Show after next year to be on there because they've got all their other stuff, or they might not need another Outriders or a Back for Blood because they've got Redfall or they've got whatever else they have. So it's not that simple because you can't. I don't think you can include the cost of running their own studios in the cost of Game Pass because they were running those studios regardless of whether they had Game Pass or not.
Yeah.
I personally, and this is just my view on it, I would look at the cost of Game Pass being third parties and indies. That's what I would look at. And from that perspective, I doubt they're spending $2.9 billion on Game Pass deals. Like, I think it was revealed that Ark cost them 2.5 mil. But isn't it funny?
Sony got gypped. Sony paid $5 million for
No,
this.
it's not about, and this, do you remember, I said this a while back on our show. Isn't it funny how, it's so interesting that came out and no one remembered that I had said that. I told people third-party deals on PlayStation Plus would probably cost Sony more than Microsoft. Why? Bigger install base.
Yeah.
More lost sales. This is where the big and that's probably another reason why Sony doesn't like Game Pass. Because that's where your bigger install base actually hurts. It doesn't help. So that is why I kept saying to people, Sony's not going to do their Game Pass competitor yet. They're going to wait till they have their first party up and running and cranking out games, because they're not going to want to rely on third parties that are going to cost them more because of their larger install base. And it's going to cost them more than what it's costing Microsoft, because Microsoft has the smaller install base, so there's not as many lost sales on Xbox.
Oh, I don't know, man. Sony need a lot of protection. You know, they're struggling out there.
But the proof was in the pudding. Arc cost them more. And Arc cost them more for 1 month on Plus.
Not for in perpetuity, I think.
Arc was on Game Pass. It might still be on Game Pass. It's been on Game Pass for like a year or two.
Yep, it is.
And yet it costs Microsoft less.
It's the own version of Plus, though, not the rent version of Plus. So it is different. It's more like games with gold than Game Pass.
Yeah, but you don't own. If you don't sub to Plus, you don't get it.
Yeah, but technically those people, they just have to have... that 1 month, everyone can then technically own it.
Yeah, I know.
Something different, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But it's only for that one. It's only a 1 month window that they have to grab it. Mm-hmm. Outside of that month, they can't get it again. Yeah, they keep it as long as they're sub, but it's only a 1 month window to grab it. While it's on Game Pass, anyone with a Game Pass sub can grab it.
That's crazy.
And yet it costs Sony more. Why? Bigger install base. So in theory, you have more lost sales that you have to account for.
Yeah.
This is why Sony doesn't want to do the sub thing right now, because they want to have their sub being represented probably 90% first party. And maybe with indies, because the indies wouldn't cost them quite as much as a third party AAA game.
True.
So there's a lot, there's a deep discussion to be had about this. If we had 6 hours to talk about it, like there's a very deep discussion. Like the big install base, and again, this is about Microsoft would have thought of this stuff. That's why do you think that's part of the reason Sony is fighting this so much?
Well, and speaking of fighting this, before we get into it, 2 things. One, hey, if you're watching right now and you're new to the XboxEra podcast, welcome. Please cast your eye to the thumb icon at the bottom of your screen and use either your finger or thumb or the mouse pointing device if you're watching on PC, and just click that like button for me. I would really appreciate
hit that
it.
like button. You just got
if you're not subscribed, do that too and ring the bell.
You just got a free membership from Tom Insomnia. Hit that like button.
Yeah, and obviously, we've announced our YouTube membership program today, so that is now live. Feel free to join the crew. I don't think, and we'll have to research this, if we can link the forum to YouTube in some fashion to produce some sort of badge.
Oh, yeah. Lucius Augustus. That's right. I forgot about that. The 2.9 billion revenue, that was 2021.
Wow.
So we don't know if it was at the end of I don't know if it was at the end of 2021 or not. But remember, they announced the 25 million subs towards the end of 2021.
Yeah.
Or in January 2022. So, yeah, that revenue could... I mean, I doubt it went up this year because they had no games to put on it, but...
Mental. And just for the record as well, final thing before we get into the real meat and potatoes of discussion on the ABK drama, Scalebound almost right down the middle, but the ayes have it with 50% of the vote and no's 49%. Where that 1% is an odd number, so I guess that's why there's a split.
Where's the 1%?
It probably rounded down, so it was like 50.2 and 49.8.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Scalebound won. Woo!
Just.
Yeah. Good.
Anyways,
one thing to say: if you haven't turned on accepting gifts on your YouTube account, and you do that right now, you probably get a membership because we've got
turn on accepting gifts so you can actually get, because otherwise Tom Insomnia threw their money away.
Yeah,
they'll hold them until people do it.
Why is Tom still here? He made us do the rumor mill early, I assume, because he wanted to sleep.
And energized. He's feeling
here.
energized after doing so many gifts.
He's still here in the chat. Why did I do it early for, Tom?
It's a good thing. It was fun. Look out! Well, I'm not complaining. Tom just gifted 50 subs to our community.
Yeah, I know.
like a
I'm
legend.
just saying.
But I imagine, much like us, when something cool goes down, is you watch all the reaction and the discussion around it. You know.
I thought he wanted to sleep. I was helping him go to sleep. Or I will put you to sleep. Remember Happy Gilmore? Now you will go to sleep, or I will put you to sleep.
I do remember.
You know, that's Ben Stiller. It's so easy to forget that male nurse was Ben Stiller in Happy Gilmore.
I know.
Yeah, Happy Gilmore.
I can't. Adam Sandler films just can't.
Oh, come on. I watched Billy Madison with my kids the other night.
Did you?
Yeah, they loved it.
Oh.
They loved it. There was a few moments where I was like, I probably shouldn't be watching this with children. But it was mostly okay.
Well, I watched movie tangents. I watched Batteries Not Included.
Yeah, I saw that. That's a good
which
movie.
is Spielberg produced, but not Spielberg directed. But
It's a very good movie.
And do you know what I noticed? This is a movie tangent. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but this happens. Do you know what I noticed about this film?
Nick's Flicks.
I watched
That's what we
this.
should call the podcast.
Nick's Flicks. What?
Nick's Flicks.
Hey, Sick Flicks. Surely.
Oh, yes.
Hey,
Nick and Six Flicks.
actually, Sick Flicks is probably a really bad idea for a name.
Yeah, I know. It might not be. Yeah.
You know.
Sick Flicks.
Specifically you watching, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I was watching this with my 8 and 5-year-old, and you compare it to a modern kids movie today. Now, I would describe Batteries Not Included as a family film,
Yes.
and not specifically geared towards children.
Correct.
But you compare it to any kind of modern family film, and it's all glitz and licensed music and very little substance, very little character development. And yet Batteries Not Included took a little time with all of the main characters to give a little bit of backstory about who they were. It wasn't CGI laden. Yes, you had the cute little alien robot UFO creature things and their children, but they were very few and far between the scenes. A lot of it was some slapstick. But they were completely engaged. There was no distractions necessary to keep them watching. They were bunkered in like this is, and they were asking me questions. They were laughing at the bits you should laugh at. It was a magical experience seeing them, and like the little baby robots when they fell in the soup, and when the dad got the axe in him, and they were like, "Is he gonna be okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry, cool. It's a family film. Chill out." The only bit I was a bit surprised at was, and I raised an eyebrow because I forgot it existed. There's a scene where he paints her. The painter paints the pregnant lady, and he's just a perv, and he just paints her with her boobs out. And then suddenly my kids are like, "We can see her boobies." And I'm like, "Oh my God."
I don't remember that.
That's in the film, or at least it's in the cut that I downloaded, X-rated cut from. So yeah. Go figure.
I don't remember that. I saw it back in the VHS days.
Yeah, well, I've got my VHS. That's how old that movie is. But obviously, I can't play that on anything modern. So
Because parents, back when I was little, my parents both worked at a video store, so I used to watch everything as a kid.
Yeah,
like
glorious.
I mean, obviously now that explains a lot of how I was shaped with movies. Because like I grew up just watching movies all the time. Like, so, yeah, Batteries Not Included was good.
Nick and Six.
Tom said he's been drinking whiskey, I think, which is keeping him awake. Whiskey has said stay awake. Oh, well. We got the rumour mill done early. It avoids everyone going, rumour mill this week? Rumour mill this week? We got it out of the way.
Yeah. Anyway, ABK. Let's get into it.
ABK and the CMA embarrassing themselves again.
So let's try and lay this out. So obviously this decision and this posting was given to Microsoft back in September, and it was then made public earlier this week. Is my understanding, and that's probably why we saw Microsoft put up their web page with the all the info about the acquisition of Activision Blizzard
Yeah,
King and why it's going to be good, and knocking down, I guess, in advance, some of the arguments that the CMA have suggested. So the CMA talks about a lot of stuff. And I'm using the wonderful thread from IDAS on resetera.com to kind of help frame this. But they posted a bunch of stuff about the industry and the transaction. They posted about the relevant markets. They posted about ABK content and Call of Duty. And I think it would be useful to go through each element and just kind of talk through each of these pieces, right? So the first thing that is kind of summarized is, hey, the gaming industry is worth 7 billion in the UK in 2021. It's the largest video game market in Europe and the 6th largest gaming market worldwide. Physical sales accounted for 21% of gaming revenue in 2021, falling to 19% in 22, as compared to 55% in 2015. That's a hell of a jump. And PlayStation currently has the larger share of console market gaming than Xbox. But the CMA consider that the Call of Duty is sufficiently important that losing access to it or losing access on competitive terms could significantly impact Sony's revenues and user base. Now, we've heard this
Why does
line
that
before.
bother them?
And this is what's unusual. You are not a regulator to protect the market leader.
That's right. This is why I get angry with the fanboys on Twitter that are like, oh, but they're protecting competition. No, they're not. And I was sure to grab this. This is off the CMA's website. Our responsibilities. We work to ensure that consumers get a good deal when buying goods and services, and businesses operate within the law. We do this in a number of ways. We investigate mergers between organizations to make sure they don't reduce competition. So where is the competition being reduced? By Microsoft buying ABK and making COD exclusive. So right now, as of this moment, consumers have 4 choices. Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, PC. They're the 4 major platforms to play video games. Okay, and mobile. So they're the 5 major platforms to play a video game natively. Oh my god, my throat. Okay, I muted that last one. They're the 5 major platforms that you can choose to play a video game right now. If Microsoft buys ABK and makes COD exclusive, do those 5 choices for a consumer not still exist? They're not shutting any... Like, you can still buy a PlayStation. You can still buy a Switch. You can still put together a PC, and you still have your mobile phone. So what competition's being reduced?
Well, so what
if we're going by the consumer perspective, what changes?
They point to a network effect within the console market, where a console with lots of gamers attracts more content, which in turn attracts more gamers. And they think that Call of Duty and any potential exclusivity of that title on Xbox will create a network effect on Microsoft's platform. That's the nutshell. And their direct quote for this is as follows. The CMA is concerned that having full control over this powerful catalog, especially in light of Microsoft's already strong position in gaming consoles, operating systems, and cloud infrastructure, could result in Microsoft harming consumers by impairing Microsoft's closest gaming rival ability to compete, as well as that of other existing rivals and potential new entrants who could otherwise bring healthy competition through innovative multi-game subscription and cloud gaming services.
So again, they're worrying about competitors, not consumers. They're worrying about, again, why are they so worried about Sony? I don't understand that. Like, this is why people are putting on their tinfoil hats and saying, well, Jim's gone and doing some work behind the scenes to probably get the deal blocked or delayed. Because they say stuff like that makes it look that way. How can you not put your tinfoil hat on when you read stuff like that? Like, in the end, they're supposed to be... And, like, when the Brazilian regulators came out and said what they said, they actually thought of stuff I had never thought of. But in the end, they said it doesn't affect the consumers. The consumers still have the choices. So, if the worst case scenario of Microsoft making COD exclusive is that a PlayStation owner has to buy an Xbox, okay, boo-hoo. Too bad, so sad. I didn't like that Sony money had a Street Fighter 5. I just had to put up with it. I have a PlayStation 4. I bought Street Fighter 5 because I wanted Street Fighter 5. Like, it's called competition. The fact that Sony's wallet isn't as big as Microsoft's, well, bad luck.
Do you know, it's interesting as well. I'm reading and just going through some of the posts from IDAS on the Resetera thread. Interesting staff communication at the bottom of that thread that says, this is an official staff communication. Accusing a government regulatory body of being in the pocket of Sony, Microsoft, anyone else falls under our accusations of shilling rule. Suggests this stops now. Further breaking this rule will be met with consequences. And even IDAS, who is running the thread, says, I think it's possible to point out how objectively biased and poorly researched CMA's commentary has been without accusing them of being paid to make this commentary. They could legitimately be embracing poor arguments. But, you know, whatevs. But this is the thing, right? The CMA's arguments don't make sense. There's other stuff here as well. So their other big concern...
I will say, Microsoft said some silly things too. And unless I misread them or unless I'm misunderstanding, Microsoft's doing themselves no favors. Like, they said something about Xbox cloud gaming not running on Azure. I'm like, what? So what's it running on? It's
not the same hardware. It's running on bespoke Series blades, not the Azure platform itself.
Yeah, they're making a distinction. And so to do this properly, let's say that's the first one. So they talk about Call of Duty exclusivity, right? So Microsoft didn't share figures, but they said, hey, you know, this is their argument. The suggestion that the incumbent market leader, that's Sony's PlayStation, with clear and enduring market power, 20 years, top-selling platform, untouchable, could be foreclosed by the third largest provider as a result of losing access to one title is not credible. And they didn't share figures, but they made a suggestion. This is where it gets a bit vague from Microsoft.
Don't highlight Rand's comment. Don't highlight Rand's comment. This is my show. I'm not supposed to be getting cut down on my show. It's bad enough they do it on Xbox too.
Hi, Rand. Hey, buddy. Always glad to see you. So Microsoft made a suggestion that if every single Call of Duty player on Sony's console switched over to Xbox tomorrow, the PlayStation gamer base remaining would still be significantly larger than Microsoft's on Xbox. So the other thing, it probably would be, but they didn't give any figures for that. So I guess you could sit down and try and do some math on install base there, or in a nutshell. But the CMA's other concern was around cloud and subscription services. So the direct quote from
that's a bit more fair enough. A little bit more fair enough.
I don't necessarily disagree with this one, and I think Microsoft should be more wary of the supposed impact, because Microsoft is one of a few companies that have the necessary infrastructure that's already theirs, so they don't have to invest in building one or paying someone. Or at least if they do pay internally, they pay mates rates, if you know what I mean.
Counterpoint, and this is where the CMA is a bit inept. So once upon a time, Sony actually had the monopoly on game streaming, did they not, when they bought Gaikai and OnLive?
And they chose not to do anything of substance with them.
It's not the CMA's responsibility to protect Sony's past business decisions. Sony had the opportunity to be the first and only player in game streaming and chose not to invest. It's not the CMA's responsibility to help them out 10, 15 years after the fact. Just because someone who is more prepared for that future is there and ready to go. Like this is what's odd about this whole thing. The CMA aren't actually doing their job. They're doing Sony's. And that's the weirdest part about it. Like just weird comments like this. The CMA found a pattern of Microsoft acquiring development studios and making their upcoming games exclusive to Xbox. Duh. What else were they going to do? Can I get Insomniac's future games on Xbox, can I? Is Wolverine coming out on Xbox, is it? Can I access that game? So Haven's new game, that's not going to be PlayStation exclusive. Insomniac's new games. Valkyrie, if they make a game. Like, what a stupid comment to make.
Look,
what company buys and doesn't make their content exclusive?
This is what's hilarious. So this is one of the direct quotes from the CMA. The CMA recognises that ABK's newest games are not currently available on any subscription service on the day of release, but considers that this may change as subscription services continue to grow. After the merger, Microsoft would gain control of this important input and could use it to harm the competitiveness of its rivals. That's not true. Deathloop, one of Bethesda's games, is on subscription services. So ABK's
cancelled the contract.
Bethesda actually has a lot of games on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
They got like
not just that. Microsoft could have cancelled those contracts and didn't.
Yeah.
The Quake remaster, that came out on PlayStation and Switch, didn't it?
Yep.
The irony is, I actually think that once this deal goes through, I reckon the Switch will end up getting COD.
Yeah,
I reckon they'll find a way.
Do a cloud streaming version of it. Why not?
Yep, I reckon they'll find a way. Or they'll wait for the Switch 2 and do a 1080-60 dumbed down version.
Maybe.
That's the irony of this whole situation. But the Switch doesn't count, apparently. According to the CMA, Nintendo doesn't count. Even though they make a video game console that competes directly with Microsoft and Sony, they don't count. Like, are they serious? They're reduced to using Twitter fanboy arguments? Nintendo doesn't count.
It's ridiculous.
Like, this is just they're embarrassing themselves. Like, it's just, oh my god. Like, in that example where they're talking about Microsoft making studios games exclusives, they talk about Ninja Theory, In Exile, Obsidian. It's like, of course they're gonna make. Look, why would Microsoft want to acquire these studios if not to have their stuff be exclusive? Look, what world are they living in? Like, it's farcical. The CMA's arguments are farcical.
So Sony as well, I think Microsoft pointed out that Sony's recent but smaller acquisitions, but they also said, hey, there are over 280 first and third party exclusive titles on PlayStation in 2021, which is nearly 5 times as many as on Xbox. And they actually said, in short, Sony is not vulnerable to a hypothetical foreclosure strategy, and the referral decision incorrectly relies on self-serving statements by Sony, which significantly exaggerate the importance of Call of Duty to it and neglect to account, I love this bit, for Sony's clear ability to competitively respond. Because they're effectively saying, Sony does this all the time, guys.
That's right.
What are you smoking?
Yeah, that's right. And they do. And this is what's annoying. They do. It's like where was it? I pasted it in there. Where is it? Where Sony was like, but it was basically Sony are effectively scared that Microsoft's going to do to them what they've been doing to Microsoft for the last 10 years. And it's like, okay, so again, why is that the CMA's problem? So because Microsoft's going to give you a dose of your own medicine, you don't want it. And the CMA's worried you're going to cop a dose of your own medicine as well.
That's so ridiculous.
Like, just, like, listen to this stuff. Absent the merger, rivals could still hope to compete against Microsoft by offering a different value proposition that is stronger on at least some parameters of competition. Now, I think this is, for example, by offering a better gaming catalog at a lower price. Yeah, okay, because Sony's going to lower prices. Following the merger, it may be significantly more difficult for rivals to compete against Microsoft on any parameter of competition, as Microsoft would have by far the strongest integrated offering across cloud, computer OSs, and gaming content. The investment required by a competitor to develop an offering that could compete effectively with that of Microsoft could be significantly increased following the merger.
So
again, why are they worrying about the competitors when it's not going to affect the consumer? This is going to have no effect on consumers outside of maybe they have to pick a different console, which is the entire point of competition. A company wants you to buy their product, not the competition's product. That's the entire point. So
mental.
If the consumer is not affected in their choices of options, and Microsoft's going to give them more options, because right now they can only get Call of Duty on PC, PlayStation, Xbox.
Yeah.
If Microsoft makes it exclusive or does what they want with it, you're going to have Xbox, PC, cloud as well, which doesn't require a $500 console. Yes, the experience might not be the best, but maybe people don't care. They'll be able to play COD on their TV via a cloud app. They'll be able to play on their phone, on their tablet, on their PC, on their Xbox. And guess what? Odds are Microsoft's probably going to find a way to put it on Switch. Is there an element like
Call of Duty and reverse the situation? It wouldn't be going on cloud streaming.
No, not at all.
It would come to PC still, but they would cut that Xbox version as soon as they could. But then we'd probably see Microsoft trying to make very similar arguments in objection to this as well. So it's interesting though, Nick, Microsoft agree with you. They actually said, should any consumers, this is a quote from Microsoft, should any consumers decide to switch from a gaming platform that does not give them a choice as how to play their games, PlayStation, to one that does, Xbox, then that is the sort of consumer switching behavior that the CMA should consider welfare enhancing and indeed encourage. It is not something that the CMA should be trying to prevent. I think that is a fair comment.
This is why it's fairly obvious that, I mean, Jim's from the UK. I'm sure he has relationships with certain people there. I don't think it would be too much of a stretch. Same way Microsoft has sort of greased the wheels of the US government over the last 2 decades. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some wheel greasing there from Jim at the CMA. Either probably trying, realistically they understand they probably can't get the deal blocked, but I wouldn't be surprised if they try to delay it as long as physically possible.
They'll try and get a concession in some form.
Or to get a concession.
The best concession, in my opinion, that Sony could hope for out of this is to have insistence not only do they get Call of Duty for an even longer period of time. I don't see them getting a contract in perpetuity because no company could be asked to do that. But what they could get is either you're not allowed to put it on your cloud or your Game Pass subscription platform, or if you do, you have to give it to us too.
I wouldn't accept that.
That's a concession I could see them gunning for, and they'd be happy with that, right? But it's interesting the stuff about cloud streaming and you know the earlier point about Azure. The CMA were talking about, oh, you know, you own Azure, so you think you know you're going to have this infrastructure. Now Microsoft has data centers, but you're quite right. All of the xCloud stuff is not running off an Azure server. Right, like a multi-tenant scenario. It's running off of customized specific blades for Xbox hardware within the data center. So there's a bit of a grey area from Microsoft.
And that's what I was saying before. And that's when Rand's like, come on, Nick. It's still all part of Azure. Like, it's a bit disingenuous to be like, no, it's a completely separate thing. Well, no, it's not. Like, and again, I understand legal speak. If Microsoft if the CMA wanted to dig more, and Microsoft knows exactly what they're saying. Microsoft could sit there and break down at a granular level why Xbox Cloud Gaming is not part of Azure. But let's be honest, it's part of Azure. Like they're just being clever smartasses there. Yeah. They're being a little bit disingenuous.
But the CMA is saying, oh, you know, if you get so big in cloud, you're going to be able to foreclose rivals in cloud gaming services. And Microsoft have said consumer adoption of cloud gaming remains low. Harming or degrading rival services would significantly set back adoption of the technology, protecting market-leading incumbents, i.e. Sony on console, Apple and Google on mobile, as well as Steam on PC. Xbox as a platform, which is last place. This is Microsoft making Xbox sound really shit. It's great. Xbox is a platform which is in the last place in console, 7th place in PC, and nowhere in mobile gaming distribution globally. We
But
don't
that's
have
not
any
wrong.
incentive to do it. It's not
That's not
wrong.
wrong.
That's kind of some humble pie from Microsoft there. Instead, our incentive is to encourage the widespread adoption of cloud gaming technologies by as many providers as possible to encourage that major shift in consumer behavior required for cloud gaming to succeed. ZDocs will be in the background. Yes, cloud.
Yeah,
He
but
loves
again,
it.
This still reeks of the CMA sitting there trying to stand up for billion and trillion dollar companies that made poor investments and decisions. Like, now we've got Stadia being all, I blame Microsoft because they bought Bethesda, so that's why we shut down our studios. Nah, man, you launched your service like crap, and you were sitting there showing off a red carpet with failed consoles. You didn't want to make the proper investment because you thought it was going to be so easy to just leverage all your Google servers. And then when you realize that you have to bleed billions of dollars to get a foot in the gaming industry, you didn't want to. And you just noped out. Like, it had nothing to do with Microsoft buying Bethesda. And Sony the same. Sony saw a future where streaming was going to be the future, just like Microsoft sees it. And then Sony gave it a go. They invested in Gaikai. They invested in OnLive. And then realized, okay, this is the future, but it's a future that's probably 15, 20 years or more away. We're not going to worry about it. That's not Microsoft's fault. And it's not the CMA's responsibility to worry about that.
Yeah.
In the end, as I read earlier, the CMA's responsibility is to consumers. It's not to the companies that are competing.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a bizarre one. It's funny as well. There's a whole website on the UK's gov.uk website that you can read, and it's even got the names of the people that are doing the inquiry group, as well as an email, which I can't bear to think how many Sony fanboys have emailed this contact email, which is a Microsoft.activision@cma.gov.uk. How many emails have they got saying, you need to not let this go through? Can you imagine just like angry, all caps, sorts of nonsense?
What's so embarrassing about this is the same fanboys that are crying about this stuff are the same ones that talk about how amazing Sony's exclusives are and they're the only place for all the best exclusives. It's like, well, if exclusives are all that matter, what's the problem?
Yeah.
Let COD go. Let it go. Like, you've got your exclusives, don't you? So why do you need to worry about COD? Don't worry about COD. Let it go. I mean, you're going to have to let it go anyway. It's not going to be there on PlayStation 6.
But, careful. Didn't the CMA use one of Tom Warren's tweets, or Microsoft did, in a response back as well, funnily enough?
I don't know. I saw, was it Stephen Totillo? And I think he also, in the same way I misinterpreted the Azure thing, I think he misinterpreted. So he was saying that Microsoft basically said their console's weaker than the PS5. And it's like, I don't think that's what Microsoft was saying. He was like, Microsoft's statement was something like, people aren't buying a PlayStation because of Call of Duty. They're buying it for the console's technical superiority. And people are choosing to interpret that as superiority to our console. It's like, no. I think they're talking about as in the strength of the console, the power of the console. Like, I mean, you see it now. Fanboys all over Twitter have been like, well, technically the PS5 is more powerful than the Xbox because of the SSD and all this other bullshit I got no idea about. But people are like, Microsoft's admitting that the Series X is weaker than the PS5. Yeah. It's like, I don't think that's what they're doing. I think you're misinterpreting the language there.
I just want all of this to be over.
Oh my God.
We've got some super chats though. Jay the Earp is the first one, I think.
Yes. Jay the Earp. Sony has to pay for cloud and Microsoft has to pay for running cloud. Both have to pay in some way. Well, yeah.
Because they have to pay to host everything, the energy costs.
Yeah, but like Microsoft, I think, even bills their own studios.
Probably.
Which I find bizarre. Like, what's the advantage of being under Microsoft?
It's about competition and it's like legal stuff for keeping things fair.
I always found that odd.
Great super chat from one of my favorite YouTubers.
I might skip that. I might skip
No,
that super
I
chat.
feel obliged to read
Banana
it. Come
Peel
on.
Jack was nice enough to just give us $2 with no comment at all, and then there was no other super chats.
No, come on, it's the rule. We do this even for people like what's his face? Xbox sucks clowns guy.
God,
We
they
read his
been around
out.
for ages. Obviously, we're not
given up.
I think
popular
they
anymore.
finally ran out of dummy accounts, so they're gone.
Hey John and the guy who does nothing. Also, hi Jesse. My fave was the CMA comments on Nintendo and how they aren't in the same market. LMAO. Well, that's what I said on Twitter. I'm like, what a dumb comment. Like they're saying, well, Nintendo is family friendly. Have they been on the eShop and seen all the anime titty games that are on the eShop?
Of course they haven't.
I mean, Nintendo Store has more adult content than Microsoft and Sony is.
It's ridiculous.
Like, it's this whole idea that Nintendo doesn't count. It's the dumbest thing. Like, they do count. They make a console. They're a direct competitor to Sony and Microsoft. The fact that it doesn't suit your narrative because Nintendo is kicking both their asses so heavily in the only metric you guys care about, console sales, doesn't mean they just don't count. Like, if you care about console sales, then Nintendo is far and away the market leader. If you care about revenue, then they're not the market leader. It's Sony, with Nintendo second. Is Nintendo second or Microsoft second?
Tencent number 1 and Sony second.
Yeah, I know, but I mean between Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. Sony's number 1, and I can't remember who's
I think
number 2 between.
Microsoft is third in between those three. Yeah, Nintendo's second.
So no matter what metric you use, Microsoft ain't anywhere near first in any of them. So the CMA, like, I don't know, I find it odd that they're willing to just so publicly embarrass themselves like this. Because if this goes to phase 2, like phase 2 goes more in depth, doesn't it? Phase 2 goes far more in depth and they really pick apart everything. Like, it will just get worse for them in phase 2.
It's when they get actual people that know what they're talking about. They get experts in the field. This is all just people.
Oh,
who
no, that
really
could
have
get even
no idea.
worse. Think of all the Sony fanboys they'll hire as experts in the field. It'll get even
Here's
more.
Jam Ruin. This guy seems to know a lot about Sony and their business.
His famous Bloomberg reporter, Ty Kim, coming in with an objective and clear cut.
Ex Bloomberg. Yeah, I'm sure he'll
round
be
in
there.
the chat with a correction. Xbox is number 2. It's Nintendo's
Yeah, for
number
revenue, I thought they might have been. Like, for actual revenue or whatever it
Between
was.
the
I
three.
think- yes, I thought Xbox might have actually been number 2. But you don't see Nintendo. Funny how Nintendo's got no objection to it. Oh, but they don't count according to the CMA. Seriously? You're stooping to, like, literal fanboy arguments as a regulator? Like, saying Nintendo doesn't count? Like, you have to be joking me. Maybe Sony should just make better games. And then they wouldn't have to worry about having COD. Nintendo does it. Nintendo just makes games that people actually want to buy their console for. Maybe Sony should do the same. You're muted, John.
Sorry, I was typing, so I was protecting the audience from my keyboard. But yeah, I'm bored of the ABK stuff. I mean, it's constant drama and hilarity.
It's going to get pettier as well, I reckon.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to get worse.
It's going to get pettier.
Microsoft issued a response to the Brazil acceptance.
It happened right after our show, basically. Like,
Yeah.
last week, we had our podcast, and then, like, not long after, Microsoft issued a response to Brazil, which I don't have in front of me.
Well,
have it?
I do. Yeah, it's a long statement, but it's in Portuguese, right? But effectively, they've concluded that the gaming industry was always competitive. At least it is in Brazil. And the shares in the markets in which the company is trying to compete are pretty low, 20% of all potential segments. Digital distribution of games and Microsoft holding Call of Duty, at gunpoint, which seems to be obviously Sony's biggest talking point. They didn't see any reason for Microsoft to stop publishing its games on other platforms because there's no incentive for doing so right now. But yes, I think Microsoft were pretty
John,
pleased with
can
it.
I cut you off?
Yes.
You see the formatting on our news story on this? We got to yell
Yeah.
at Austin. I'm gonna go fix that. What the heck? He just
What's
has
happened?
giant
Scroll back
space.
up.
Look at this formatting. This guy's just got giant gaps here and here. My goodness, I'm gonna have to fix that.
Is it?
Come on,
look at
Ruben.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
come on, buddy.
okay. Yeah,
I gotta
that's
call
pretty-
him out. I have to.
Oh yeah, look at that. I didn't even notice that. I'm looking
Mobiles,
at it
isn't it? Actually, I think Proven used Elementor, which is for doing
God.
special posts, and I was like, "Why did you use that?" Oh, I don't know. So I didn't take the time to go in and fix it. So you're probably not wrong. But yeah,
now. Yeah, I don't know. Their response was like, Brazil brought up a good point, and then immediately dismissed it because they realized it'd be a silly thing. But it shows that Brazil were actually looking at this properly. Like they said that, hold on, well, in a world where they own ABK and COD and have all this dominance thanks to COD, they could turn around and go, well, we don't need other third parties. We've got ABK. And they could shut those third parties out. That was a consideration I had never even thought of. And then obviously they logically said, well, why the hell would they release less games on their platform? But the fact that they even thought of it shows that they're actually doing the proper due diligence and looking into this thing in a holistic way. Saying, well, okay, so what are the possibilities if Microsoft gets ABK? They could shut out this console. They could shut out other third parties because they think they don't need them. They could shut it. It's good that they were doing it the right way. CMA have just gone, oh, God, Sony might not be number one anymore.
yeah.
Well, that can't be. What kind
That's
of
not
world
allowed.
would we be living in if Sony wasn't number one?
I
Oh,
just want to
no.
clear up in the chat. I can see some back and forth. Zakek or Zasek. Xbox didn't lie. When they talk about gaming revenue, they take the whole market into account. So Tencent, Apple, Google,
Yeah.
Sony,
They
Nintendo.
were third, yes.
But when we were
Tencent
talking
first.
about, when we were talking about where Microsoft sit, and we were just at that point talking
Between
only
the
about
three.
PlayStation, Nintendo, and Microsoft. So
Yeah.
just to be clear, there might be some legalese going on, but there's no outright lies.
I
Just-
fixed it. I found out why
While
there
we're
were gaps.
here, while we're
tried to
here,
put-
Jesse,
He tried to put tweets
can-
in. I fixed them.
Oh, okay.
while we're here, can we do the two super chats that are the community questions that are on this topic?
Yes,
While
we
we're
can.
talking
I
about
can
this
always bring
topic.
those up. I am always
It would
ready
just
to go.
it would just make more sense
I agree.
to have those community questions while we're talking about it. So where is the first one? Okay. It's from our friend. It's a community question from Bob Lawpel, who I thought had abandoned us for Rand, but had not. Or at least
Welcome
he came
back, Bob. Welcome
is
back.
good. And he became a YouTube member. Hello, most amazing panel. First, I prefer Xbox over PlayStation, but I'm a gamer first. With the ABK merger with Microsoft, I believe Microsoft making some mistakes and helping Sony with the CMA. When they made that website with a chart stating 6 ways the ABK merger will help consumers and gaming industry, only one is true, and that is making work environment better by Microsoft good working conditions with unions will make other devs want to work for Microsoft. And in that end, make EA, Ubisoft, and others improve their conditions to compete for devs. The mobile market is a false statement because King is already in the market but will just be under new ownership. The other 4, Microsoft does not need ABK to make happen, and the CMA will see through that. Also, by stating many times that they're going to buy more studios and publishers can make the CMA and others nervous in approving this deal. Yeah, that's a pretty good point. They've been open ability saying, yeah, we're not going to be done after ABK. Also, the only thing Sony did wrong is to make the fight public outside of Brazil. Jim Ryan's job is to protect Sony's interests. That's right. I personally think they did a great job in convincing CMA that Nintendo is not a console competitor with Xbox and PlayStation, and to convince the CMA that Microsoft hurting Sony is bad for the consumer. Everyone also has to remember Sony is very far ahead of Microsoft in Great Britain and Europe. For me, it is 60-40. The CMA will approve the deal, even if it does not hold up in court, and it be years before it be decided they try to block it. I myself want the deal to go through. What do you guys think? Oh, and what is your favorite ice cream? I love that little random at the end. You're muted again, John. I love that little random at the end. What is your favorite ice cream?
Strawberry cheesecake Haagen-Dazs is the only real answer.
From Cold Rock, I like cinnamon donut.
Good choice.
It literally has chunks of cinnamon donut in it. It is so nice. But yes, I think Microsoft also said some odd things that were obviously trying to spin things a certain way, just like what Sony are doing. But, I mean, in the end, most of the CMA's arguments flat out hold less water than a sieve.
Yeah.
Like, just insane arguments that you only expect to see on Twitter console wars, which is baffling to me. Absolutely baffling. In the end, I mean, I took that extract from their website that talked about their responsibilities. Their responsibilities to consumers. And there's nothing here about consumers. There's nothing in their arguments about consumers. Like, in the end, we are ultimately talking about luxury items.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about necessities. We're not talking about bread, milk, water, electricity, power. Like, we're talking about video game consoles. If the worst outcome is that a PlayStation fan who only owns a PlayStation 5 may need to buy an Xbox as well, or switch to Xbox to get COD, bad luck. That's competition. That's just competition. That's just how it works. A company gives you a reason to entice you over to buy their product and join their ecosystem. Apple and Google have been doing it forever and a day. Like, that's the whole point of competition. That's literally the point. That's why it would make no sense for Microsoft to not make COD exclusive at some point. Otherwise, why spend the 70 billion?
Yeah.
If you're not going to make it exclusive.
That's the hilarious thing. They talk about, PlayStation will be cut off, but Microsoft with their games comparatively to PlayStation, who are, now more on PC, but Microsoft make their games available on everywhere but PlayStation, predominantly, and Nintendo,
Pretty much.
but far more avenues and ways to get in. I get why mobile, I get Bob's point here about, King are already a big player, but for Microsoft, they're not a player at all, right? And mobile for them means that they have a foothold that they can then use to expand Game Pass and bring AAA gaming via streaming to mobile. And that's...
And again, all three have tried the mobile space, and only Nintendo is the one that's kind of carving out some success. Yep. So Microsoft's tried in mobile many, many times and failed. Sony's tried and failed. They've got mobile games too. The only one that's had some success is Nintendo by leveraging their IP. But even Nintendo, I don't think have been like wildly successful on the scale of the major mobile players. So Microsoft wants ABK, so they have King. So they do become a major player in mobile. But that doesn't mean others can't come along. Like, I mean, Microsoft tried to go up against Twitch, who was the biggest player, and Microsoft still tried. Yes, other competitors may not have the money to just throw at it and hope it works, but what do you do? I mean, it is what it is.
Don't you wish Mixer was back?
Oh, God. The timing of shutting down Mixer, all they had to do was hold on, I don't know, 6 months more, and we could be in a very different world right now. Just 6 months. Like, I think almost within a month of them shutting down Mixer, there was some massive Twitch controversy, and everyone wanted to leave Twitch. All they had to do was just hold on. Just 6 more months, I reckon, and it would be a different world now. Okay, the other community question on this topic, Jesse, is from DeoGame. Hello, panel. My question for this week is simple. Do you think the moves by Sony, Google, and CMA will make Microsoft significantly more outwardly aggressive going forward? I think you can only push a nice guy so far myself, but I don't want Microsoft going all Michael Douglas falling down on the place.
Great movie.
P.S. CMA is basing Nintendo doesn't count on 2 factors if I recall correctly. One of them, Wii Fit and games like it, is dumb. The other is that Microsoft supposedly doesn't see them as much as a direct competitor due to synergies between the firms, differences in tech and audiences, and overlap in audience market. I don't think this should discount Nintendo. If anything, it showcases how firms can coexist by offering alternative, diversified offerings at different price points. Something I'd argue Sony could easily do and thrive with. They may just not be the market leader, to which I say, who gives a shit? Come back when things are Wii U plus Xbox One, PS4, and GameCube, Xbox PS2 levels unbalanced, and we'll talk. PPS, sorry, Jesse. And this is what I'm saying. This is what I find baffling and makes this whole thing reek of like collusion. The fact that ultimately the concern is over Sony's market dominance. Did the CMA get involved at all when the PlayStation 2 had 150 million consoles versus 20 and 25 of the other two?
I think it even existed.
Or was anyone worried when the PlayStation 4 had 116 million while Xbox had 35 million for like 7 years? Or the Wii U was at 12 million?
Their whole line of argument is just it's bonkers. There's a part I did see some discussion that was kind of saying, what was it? They're just taking these talking points because of the size of the deal.
Jesse disappeared for some reason, which means
I wrote in the chat. I was just refreshing real quick.
They said that something to do with the size of the deal. They had to put some reasons forward to take it to phase 2, which,
that's flimsy.
Yeah.
That
was just someone speculating. Yeah. Oh, we've got to do something to say why it can't go through.
And now, so we better do something.
That's ridiculous. But the whole government in the UK. I mean, have you seen what's going on over here in the news? We've had 4 chancellors that control the budget and announce the budget and everything in 4 months here in the UK. We've got a new prime minister who came out, announced a mini budget. It tanked the pound. It shot inflation up. Mortgages were withdrawn because the bank went, and then the IMF and the Bank of England were like, you can't do this. The markets say no. They were like, we're not going to refuse. And this was like 2 best buddies. And then she turned around and said, yep, I'm firing the Chancellor and I'm U-turning and all the stuff. And now she's brought in Jeremy Hunt. I wouldn't normally pronounce the H. I'd usually go with some other letter to come in. He used to be the health secretary here. Evil guy. To come in and be the new Chancellor, and all of the promises about how they're going to keep prices okay and look after the public services is going to be gutted. Like the next decade here in the UK is going to be even worse. And we've got 2 years till a general election.
No,
so it's a complete
time to move
nightmare.
To Australia.
Yeah, if I could get loads of money together.
And then maybe you could come down here and we could build ourselves a big stage to do the podcast.
The kind of funny studio. Man, the dream of XboxEra, just like living like a bunch of frat boys in a giant studio.
That's a big investment. Hope it works out.
That's a big investment. Hope it works out for him. Looks very cool. But yeah.
Wonder how much money it costs to run that thing.
They have a lot of patrons.
I mean, look, UK can't be as bad as Australia. We had like 3 prime ministers in the space of 12 months or something.
Madness.
I think that's
we're on record for that. But it's crazy. But yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, that was one thing we didn't cover while we're still talking about this. We forgot about this. Or did we talk about the potential foreclosure, the partial foreclosure strategies?
Well, we mentioned it a little bit when they're talking about how, because of Microsoft's cloud streaming and everything, they're so big that if they got ABK, it would make it so difficult for any other competitors to come in. They're partially foreclosing that line of business for new competitors and other competitors in general.
Yep.
Which is Microsoft bullied their way into this industry. They went, right, okay.
But so did Sony.
Exactly.
And Nintendo bullied Sega as well. Like, they've all done it. Like, you know, it says here, third-party views also cover the merged entity's ability to engage in partial foreclosure strategies. SIE told the CMA, well, I mean, they're admitting right there, even if COD games remained available on PlayStation following the merger, the merged entity would still be able to engage in partial foreclosure by increasing the differentiation between the versions of COD available on Xbox and on PlayStation. According to SIE, gamers may expect that COD on Xbox will include extra content and enhanced interoperability with the console hardware, in addition to any benefits from membership in Xbox Game Pass. SIE submitted that these factors are likely to influence gamers' choice of console.
Is this a fucking
That's the
joke?
whole point. That's the whole point. Like, so that's Sony crying that Microsoft may do to them what they've been doing to Microsoft for years. Like, am I taking crazy pills? Like, the fact that the CMA would even listen to that argument without laughing at it is laughable in and of itself. So Sony's like, oh, but they might have exclusive content with COD if they buy this. So yeah, isn't that what you're literally doing it right now with Modern Warfare 2? Like,
it's hilarious, isn't it?
Oh my god, it's laughable. It is absolute. I mean, Jesse's got it on the screen now. What? So they're worried that Microsoft's going to do exactly this to them.
Oh, Linus Tech Tips getting involved. Love it. Also Sony.
Oh my god, it's just embarrassing. Like, just stop embarrassing yourselves. And again, this is coming from a person that's got no issue if this deal gets blocked. But if you're going to block it on its merits. Block it for a genuine reason. Don't stoop to fanboy arguments because you care about Sony being first. That's not your job.
Madness.
It's not the CMA's job to care about Sony. It's to care about consumers. And this doesn't affect consumers. But have concerns. Raise concerns. Say, look, we're worried that if they have Call of Duty, and it's one of the biggest franchises on Earth, they may turn around and up the price of Call of Duty to $150, knowing that people are going to pay it because they absolutely have to have Call of Duty. That's a concern.
Yeah.
That is a concern that should be explored, because that is something Microsoft could do. They could leverage the fact that they own one of the biggest franchises on the planet, have it exclusive to their platform, and double the price of it, knowing you can't get it anywhere else. That is a genuine concern.
They could do that.
Being concerned that Sony might not be first, who cares?
Yeah, it's really weird.
Absolutely. Actually, that could benefit the industry. Sony not being first could help the industry, because then maybe we won't be chasing this AAA best graphics in the world story-driven nirvana that everyone seems to be going for at the moment, which is bankrupting studios because of how much it costs to make these stupid games.
Instead, we'll see some innovation, originality, and creativity.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see some
nice.
variety in our games instead of everyone chasing the third-person, over-the-shoulder, AAA inflated budget unicorn that they're all going for. It might help the industry. Like, it's just embarrassing. Like, it's... Oh, my God. Just...
Super chat from Jason.
Yes, from Jason. Oh, it's been a while since we've seen Jason. I'm starting the new XboxEra Studio Kiddie Fund. Do not use this money for anything else. Yes, we'll build. Well, first we have to pay for John to get down here, because I'm not going to the UK. I already hate our cold weather during winter and spring. I'm not going to the bloody UK.
I'll tell you what, though. I think we should make a deal. We should make a promise right now on this show. We're episode 130.
Yeah.
Episode 200.
Yes.
At a minimum, the three of us in the same place. So we find a way. You know, maybe we all meet in the middle. I don't know. But we'll find a way to get all three of us in the same room doing the podcast live on one setup for episode 200. I think it would be...
Gotta get me a good gaming laptop to host everything on then.
Well, we'd probably just use my rig, I would imagine, or something. But
what do you mean?
Find a way.
I've got the MacBook Pro. to do it on the MacBook Pro.
What does the audience think of that? Episode 200, and then we'll get Phil to come back on for episode 200.
And get him there too.
Get him on the sofa. Hey, buddy.
Get him there with us. Hey, well,
Give
he
him
was
a
in
noogie,
Kind of
like,
Funny's.
there you
He
go,
was in
mate.
Kind of Funny's new studio. Did you see that?
Jim Ryan ain't turning up to that, is he?
Yeah, probably not. That would be around February, I think, episode 200.
That soon?
Which is Australian summer.
No way is it that soon.
No? Oh, no, sorry. No, it wouldn't be. Sorry. It would be the year after February. Sorry, 2024 February, roughly.
Really? Yeah. I suppose it's 70 weeks away.
Australian summer. Where else would you want to be? May as well be in the nice hot weather here with us.
That's true.
Come down.
Yes.
And your flights here would be cheaper than my flights everywhere else.
Yeah.
So you should just come here.
Investigate. I think that's what we're going to do. We'll have to do that. Episode 200, we'll have to start thinking about it.
Both of you should come here. And we'll try and get Andrew Wilson here from EA. He's Aussie.
If I get this Hawthorne chair in for review, I might not ever want to leave my house. I'm sorry.
I hate you.
Bring the chair with you.
I've been whinging about my chair, and I saw that one, and then I saw your. I was like, "You son of a!" I hope they don't let you keep it. I hope they say, "Please box it back up and send it back our way."
Yes, Lucius,
for a
you're
chair,
right.
No.
Yes, you guys are all exactly right. Look at everyone. Everyone's in the chats like Nick just doesn't want to leave. I'm like, that's right. I hate flying. I hate traveling. Like, I had to virtually be bribed to go to Greece in 2018. I had to virtually be bribed. Like, I don't like traveling. And then I was sent a sign from up above. In February 2020, I finally caved. And I said, yep, for my 40th birthday, gonna do Vegas. Gonna do a week in Vegas. Booked it all in, paid for everything, the whole lot. And that was February 2020. So I was given a sign from up above saying, do not travel. Give up on this traveling thing. You're not meant to travel. Stay home. So that's what I do. I stay home. So those two can come to me. Their flight would be cheaper and our weather is better. So just come down here. And it means that Jesse and John will finally get to experience good coffee, good food, nice restaurants. It'd be great. I'll take them around.
Have you bought yourself a mocha pot yet?
No.
Come on, bro.
I can't be bothered.
No. For someone who proclaims coffee superiority,
yeah, but I just
you're
buy
using
them.
a pod
I hardly
machine,
make them
man.
myself. I hardly make them myself.
You'll
I just go
want
and
to
buy
when
coffee.
you've got a mocha pot, bro. You'll be like, okay, this is heavenly. I prefer coffee at home than in any fancy coffee shop anywhere in London. It is incredible coffee.
That's because you guys don't have the coffee we have at shops.
I have lots of really, really nice coffee shops that do amazing
And
coffee.
they're the ones that are run by Melburnians.
Probably.
Yeah, that's why they're nice.
Or Italian. But yeah.
It's
They're
the
run by
UK, so it's pretty much
Melburnians.
any place that they've conquered in the past.
Hey.
Rand,
colonialism.
Nick doesn't want me involved. Rand, if you want to use all your YouTube millions to fly down here, mate, come down and I'll punch you up in person. If you want to come down,
I think
down.
Rand's like 6'5". I think he's pretty tall.
I don't care.
He'll just
What, you think I've ever been scared of someone who's taller than me? I don't care. Whatever.
Squaring up, Rand. I wouldn't.
I work out. I work out. I go to the gym. I can hold my own. I've got a good center of gravity. I'll be all right. Okay. I think we covered ABK and how embarrassing the CMA are fairly extensively.
Yeah. I think that just leads us straight, nicely, comfortably into thanking our patrons. And our YouTube members.
And now our YouTube.
I wonder if we
members.
can collect a list of YouTube members to give them all of the love in this.
Sure.
Yeah, I've got it. It's just going to take me a long time to add it in.
Yeah,
There's
so
about
we'll
60
do that for next week. So because it's new, we love you lots, YouTube members. You're all incredible. But big thank you to our
do it
Patron.
live if we want.
Nah, we'll do it next
For
time.
now, the list would just be Somnia and Tom. because they gave
They
everyone
pay.
the memberships.
Yeah.
So the list is real short. It's like Tom, Somnia, Bob Lawpel, and like Geordie,
Yeah.
and like a couple of others. And then
Yeah.
the rest are all the freebies. All the freeloaders.
Love it. But big thank you to all of our patrons. I don't know if you're running the banner as usual, Jesse, or not.
He's not. Now he
Oh.
is. Now he is.
There you go.
He wasn't.
But big
he was
thank
a
you to
bit
you
slow.
guys.
It's a
You're
bit
enabling
slow.
us to do some cool stuff. Some of which something new you'll see later on, either very late October or very early November. You'll see something cool and new. In other news, we also did some minor, mostly cosmetic upgrades to our forum today. You'll see a new
Yes.
sidebar on the forum, which I really like. So within that sidebar, you can customize and see everything you're tracking. So your bookmarked posts, you can go have a look at what you've posted. You can edit your profile, as well as quick links to all of the categories within the forum, from off topic to announcements to the Patreon lounge if you are a patron. And we've also added a bit more of a cosmetic change, but featured topics. So within the forum's main page, when you first log on, you'll see 3 featured topics, which will change up every week or so. It might be the biggest game that's come out that week. We'll put a review up there, or something that we've got going on. But it's all very nice looking. And as always, the forum is running super fast.
And we have
super stable.
affiliates.
Oh, yes, we do. Good mention.
Yeah.
People
Yes.
that are paying attention on the main homepage, you'll see a little partner network tag, in which you'll find connections to, I guess, fellow splintered off from Resetera.com
Yeah.
friends, which is the sales community at Installbase and their
Yes.
forum, as well as the
And
Nintendo
Famiboards.
community at Famiboards.
Yeah.
So
Funny
go check
how
it
there's
out.
no Splinter PlayStation community, isn't it?
Very
Wonder
funny.
why.
I don't know.
I wonder why. I wonder
know
why
why
everyone
that
else
is.
splintered off from Reset, but the PlayStation guys didn't. I wonder why that is. Curious. DeoGame, I apologize. You shouldn't have super chatted that. You should have just like DM me on Discord or something. Because part of his question, and we technically didn't address it. Do you reckon Microsoft stays nice after Sony and CMA? Nah. I reckon
gloves
they're
are
gonna
off
go
now.
They're gonna go goblin mode. They're
I
just
can't
gonna be
wait.
like, oh really? This is what you were trying to stop. Guess what? We're just gonna try and buy everything now, and we're not giving you jack shit.
Yeah, I would really
I
love
reckon
to
they're gonna go goblin mode. They're just gonna
be delightful to see, you know,
Oh,
violent
be
Phil
hilarious.
Spencer. Oof.
be hilarious. Yeah, but yeah, sorry, we should have addressed that. You shouldn't have super chatted that. You should have just thank you for the super chat. You shouldn't have super chatted that. You should have just DM'd me. Like you could have just DM'd me on Discord.
Look at Rand calling us out. The Xbox 2 Patreon banner runs the whole show.
Yeah, I know. They run it the whole show. It's like
Wow.
if Rand watched our show, he'd know that we do it during the patron shout.
We do.
He'd know
We
that.
do.
We also look. I gotta be honest, and I love Rand, but we do a lot more producing and having actual webcams and
That's
jumping
right.
between things. Like we don't have just one scene that we stick to.
Yeah. You know,
That's
just
right.
sitting there playing games off camera and just chatting, you know.
Yeah. We don't
With-
sit there drinking on screen or drinking secretly in the background, playing games, tweeting, all that sort of stuff while we're on the show. We're a bit more professional than that. We don't just sit there, you know.
I have seen, though, the
shots all
Xbox-
time.
The Xbox 2 guys, they've got some merch. They've got some merch.
Have
They've
they?
got merch store going on now, yeah. Including t-shirts for kids with cartoon Rands and Jezzes of a younger age. Which I really am tempted to get and make my son wear in pink. Oh God, I love it.
I saw
Love it.
Jez change their logo, and there was a shrimp in it.
Yeah, the Xbox bucket or something. Or
The Xbox, the Xbox bucket or something like that. Apparently, I'm the shrimp.
Oh, that's nice.
Allegedly, I'm the shrimp in the logo.
Allegedly.
I'll take that.
Oh, yes.
Allegedly.
Okay.
You said I didn't say allegedly.
I know I did. I was being silly.
Was that the
I don't
same?
actually. I don't
Allegedly?
actually believe the word is Supposedly or allegedly.
Supposedly, irregardless.
A whole nother.
Americans. Okay. Patrons.
No.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much,
okay.
patrons.
I won't go down that tangent. Love you, patrons. Deep breaths. Oh, dear. God. Right.
All right. Another perk of a Patreon membership, aside from the free video game we give you, which Jez and Rand call themselves an Xbox podcast, but we are the only podcast that gives you a free Xbox game with your Patreon membership. I mean, you can't get more Xbox than that. The very neat little Omega Rally Championship, which has a driving model that should be stolen and implemented into a new rock and roll racing after Microsoft gets ABK. I think NRXic, maybe I'll join him. We'll DM Phil and be like, Phil, here's a free code for Omega Rally Championship. This driving model, when you guys get ABK, you get one of those studios or get Turn 10, a small team from Turn 10 or Playground, to make a new rock and roll racing implementing Omega Rally Championship's driving model. Oh, man.
You'd be a very happy man, wouldn't you?
That would be so good. Like, be great. It's really good. Okay. Community questions. We'll get to community questions now.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes. We'll start community questions, which is also another perk. As well as the Xbox game, you also get to ask community questions that we read out on the show. Okay.
I have a call-in.
Sorry?
They have a call-in. They
have
people
a call-in. God,
people
that's
call
so
in with their
risky.
voice.
That is so... Like, I saw that. That is so risky. What if you get some psychopath that just rings up and, like, threatens or abuses or... I don't know, man. Like, that feels risky to me. To have a live call-in. That feels really risky. It's cool from, like, an interaction and a community involvement standpoint, but feels dangerous too.
You never know.
What happens if you get like Xbox Killer and he rings?
What happens if one of us makes a third, Smurf account and does exactly that?
Smurf. What happens if I just ring from my own account and just abuse the?
I think you have to be a certain tier of patron to get up there and do that.
I'll do it for a month. I'll do that. I'll do it for a month and spend 4 weeks of their podcast ringing them and abusing them both. Just abusing them with the foulest language that they've ever heard. And I'm Australian. You can't beat how we swear. Like, we swear with the best of them. So that would be a sight to behold. Okay. Creaky Legs. So any spooky season games you're interested in playing this month? I'll probably be playing Scorn by the time you read this. But I'm also looking to replay or maybe dig into the backlog. I never played The Evil Within, so maybe I'll give those a go. Keep up the great work. Man, I wish I could be playing Dead Space Remake. I want to play that game so bad. Can I get a code for that?
Well,
It's
you'd have to
$110.
write a video review and...
It's $110.
Oh, no, I've already called that one. I just reviewed the original.
Jesse, you don't like horror games. That's not a genre you're familiar with.
I don't like bad horror games. How about that?
Bad ones.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Little Scorn reference for YouTube comments mostly.
Oh.
Anyway, Creaky Legs. Come on. Let's get on with this.
Yeah, horror games. Again, I'll probably try Scorn. By the way, speaking of horror games and Dead Space, didn't Dead Space get a perk in Game Pass?
Did it?
Yeah, didn't it? I swear
I have no
Dead Space
idea.
got a perk in Game Pass. I'm almost certain about it. Can you look that up, Jesse?
I never.
Game Pass.
I'm pretty sure it did. I need to redeem that if that's the case. Although I may already have it, but because I got everything.
Customize your Dead Space gameplay experience with the add-on bundle. This bundle contains some previously released DLC to help you better survive the horrors that await Isaac Clarke.
Is that for Dead Space 1?
Yeah, just a 25 character code.
Well, there you go. See that? And I've got the original Dead Space, mate. I bought best Resident Evil game. Dead Space is a better Resident Evil series than Resident Evil is. Dead Space is amazing.
I don't know.
Play Dead Space. If you haven't played Dead Space, play it. Even like the remake's coming, but don't think that the fact that the remake exists means that the original is like unplayable or something. Like the original game is still fantastic, and it's backwards compatible. So Xbox is the only platform where you can get every Dead Space game. I think. Wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right. Yeah, Dead Space 1 and 2 aren't on PS4 or whatever. What else is a good horror game? Play Alien Isolation. Alien Isolation is amazing.
Nope.
What else is a good horror game? They're probably two of my favorites. Aside from some of the Resident Evils. Like Resident Evil 4 is very scary, but it's basically unplayable now with those tank controls. Like Resident Evil 4 is not fun to play now in 2022. Resident Evil 5 is passable in terms of how it feels to play and control. But Resident Evil 2 Remake, play that as well. That's another amazing game. Super, super good.
There's no point coming to ask me for horror game favorites. I don't have any. It's not a genre I'm interested in. I'm a complete wuss. It's not for me. I don't like playing games to be terrified. I've played Outlast. I quite admired until I was too terrified to continue.
Outlast was pretty good.
I turned off Alien Isolation when the aliens showed up. That was me done.
Oh, Alien Isolation. And it's quite a reasonable 1,000 as well. It's quite a reasonable 1,000.
It's not my jam. It's not my jam, man.
Even though I got the trophy. I got the platinum trophy. I haven't played it on Xbox. I got it. I don't know why. Like I used to get into this habit where I just bought some games on PlayStation just so that it would have games. Like I felt sorry for it.
PlayStation has no games, man. Oh, wait.
Because I bought everything on Xbox and then Game Pass came along. So I just sort of bought some games on PlayStation.
Pity games.
Just kind of. Like Shadow of Mordor I bought on PlayStation. Diablo. There was a few. And then all those games came to Game Pass. and then it's like, well, bought those for nothing.
Never mind.
Okay. Hytham G. Quick question, John. Oh, God, he's doing it again. You weren't here for Hytham's question last week, but you're here for it this week.
I read it last week, so I can answer it this week.
Quick question, John. Have you ever smoked a hookah aside from this? Is that how you pronounce it? Hookah? Because
hookah,
the way I say it with my accent makes it sound
sex
like...
worker is, I think.
If I ever smoked a sex worker.
my accent...
Let me tell you a story.
My accent makes that sound like I'm saying a hookah, but it's a hookah. Isn't it like Hookah?
I would refer to it as a shisha, I think.
Wait, what? Yeah, but it's Hookah. You can see it there on the screen.
It can also be known as a shisha pipe.
Okay.
But yes, I have smoked one.
Yes.
It was blackcurrant flavor. And yeah, it was quite pleasant. Back in the day when I used to actually smoke cigarettes, which is a disgusting habit, and I would recommend no one ever takes it up. The vape I use currently.
Let me read the rest of the question.
Yeah, go on. I'm trying to read the question. I'm like,
have you ever smoked a hookah aside the cigarette and the vape that you used to and currently smoke as of now? And you have ever attended a convention like Comic-Con, where I've been last Friday and destroyed my wallet? Also, when do you guys?
Hang on, that's one question.
Okay.
Yes, I've been to conventions, video game conventions. I went to XO19. Got to chat with the Sea of Thieves guys for a bit and some other bits and pieces. And I've been to EGX back in I want to say 2013, may have been 2014. Funnily enough, that is arguably what gave me the initial contacts and people to speak to within Microsoft to kickstart the dream of what XboxEra eventually became, which is crazy. Like, go back that far back. But the nutshell, I'll try to do this in a really succinct way. When Master Chief Collection was launching, they were advertising like crazy, and they were inviting people to come into a booth and give like a little conversation around what Halo meant to them. And I was with 3 friends that had all met each other playing Halo 2 online. We went in, we did some talking about the LANs we used to do, and I got a call back from Microsoft, I don't know, a month or so later, saying, hey, would you come in and do a TV advert thingy for us? It's the only time I've ever worn a full face of makeup. It's a hilarious image. Someone remind me on Twitter and I will post it just so you guys can all have a good laugh. But yeah, I looked like I was made of plastic. It was ridiculous. And then, yeah, did a couple of TV spot thingy, YouTube spots. They made me do the grunt voice, which was irritating. And then, yeah, it led to doing the launch event for Master Chief Collection and playing in the kind of arena playoff in London. Then I did the launch event for Halo 5 and played on stage with like some YouTube personalities. Funny story about that. One of the people couldn't get on a plane in time, or their flight was cancelled. I'd invited my mate Tom. It's my best mate. He's
Tom Morris.
No, not Tom. Not Tom's.
Tom Henderson.
Tom isn't worthy of. No, neither of those Toms. A real life Tom. And he's this really tall 6'5" guy, dreads down to his back. He's a Sparky by trade, so he's covered in crap. And he turns up, and because this person had turned up, they were like, "Do you know anyone?" I was like, "Yeah." So my mate Tom, like covered in crap, turning up at this London event, had to come on stage and play Halo 5 for the first time in a tournament event, and he had no idea what he was doing. It was hilarious. But yes, comic book conventions. Anyway, there you go. That's the answer.
There's more to the question. Also, when do you guys a war chest video on your podcast? Because I have a list of video game studios. Don't have to read them all, or some little tangent of a studio you guys might want to talk a little bit about. But this is just a suggestion. When ABK hopefully gets certified without regulators being stubborn, then you do a war chest video.
Yes, we've already put.
Yeah, we did one, didn't we? A while back.
We did the Xbox Game Studios World Tour following the acquisition spree, the first acquisition spree.
Yeah.
And we did a deep dive on each of the studios, what they were rumored to be working on, where they were located, how many employees they had, blah, blah, blah. It was a pretty epic undertaking. If you think at that point they had 23 studios, the video, minute or so each studio, the minute was about the video was about half hour long. We've already got the animation prep work done. And we were obviously optimistic that that video would be ready to go this side of Christmas. It's not going to happen, but we'll make one when the acquisition closes to talk about the new war chest and what all of the teams might be working on. And it should be a pretty good watch. It will also be 30, 40 minutes long, which is going to be nuts to render.
And Hytham's got a list of a bunch of studios.
Oh my God.
Ubisoft, EA, Take-Two, Square Enix, WB, Bandai, 2K, Capcom, Konami, Sega, Koei Tecmo, THQ Nordic, SNK, Arc System, Tencent Games, Embracer Group, Nexon, NetEase, Netmarble, Marvelous, Hoyoverse, CD Projekt Red, Epic Games, Valve, From Software, Platinum Games, Atari, Falcom, and if there is any studio I didn't name, please name a few. I reckon you covered most of them.
Yeah, that's pretty much everyone that's out there.
Yeah, just about. Look, I just want Sega and Capcom. I don't care about any... But that's a selfish, there's perspectives on this. From a personal perspective, a purely personal perspective, if I get Sega and Capcom, I'm happy. I just want Sega and Capcom. From the perspective of watching people melt down on Resetera and Twitter, Square, Take-Two, you're muted, You're muted. You keep
Capcom
to
would
unmute.
get some meltdowns, bro.
Capcom would get some meltdowns, but not on the levels of Square Enix or Take-Two, or even Konami. So it all depends on your perspective. I care more about me. Like I want Sega and Capcom because that suits me, and I get, Sega's content on Game Pass, Capcom's content on Game Pass. There's a chance of reviving all those old IPs because they need more content for Game Pass. So there's a better chance that I get a new Maximo game. There's a better chance that I get a new Power Stone, Golden Axe, Shinobi, all these amazing IPs that Sega and Capcom have. As in, amazing to me. I understand that my taste is much better than most of my colleagues and peers, and they will not want all the same stuff I want, but that's the stuff I want. See? And there's Rand right on cue. God, Sega is so boring. Figures Nick wants them. This is what I'm saying. Not everyone's taste is as refined as mine. So I understand that. That's why I said, from a personal perspective, Sega and Capcom. Just purely personal. Rand is wrong. Okay. What about you, John? Who do you want from a personal perspective? Rocksteady?
Man. Studio-wise, the dream. Yeah, it's really tricky because I feel like
though. I'm talking about pick one for you. We know the meltdown ones. The meltdown ones are easy. I'm talking about picking the one for you that matters to you.
Yeah, see, I don't think I really have one now at this point on the list. Like, in terms of, I don't really care about From stuff. I don't really care about Sega's stuff. The only From game I really liked was
From would be a good meltdown one.
Yeah, but the only From one I really liked was Chromehounds, and they certainly don't seem to be going back into that stable of IP anytime soon. Yeah, it's really hard to say. I don't think there's one I can particularly think of. Like, I would really love Play Dead. Like, just I love all their games. I've always loved all their games. But yeah, no big studio, because I don't play as much AAA stuff as a lot of other people. I prefer my games a little bit more unique. It's just mostly because I already have two jobs. I don't need another job.
Buy Johnny Galvatron.
Wherever he makes next, I'm definitely on board with. I can't wait.
Buy Johnny Galvatron. That's a good one. I might get to see that. He said I can probably go and visit him at the studio and see.
You should ask for a cameo.
Oh yeah.
You should ask for a character that just goes "Yip Eve" or "Duh." Any of your catchphrases, or just a guy that pops up and goes, "What's going on?"
Some dude that just drinks coffee at a cafe by the side of the road.
Yeah, that looks suspiciously.
I should ask if I could do like a voice or something in the game. How cool would that be? He doesn't have to pay me. I just want to see my name on the thing. That's all.
Depends if it's with Annapurna again. You'd have to be union, I'd imagine.
What?
The reason that they got all those super famous actors is because through Annapurna, and when you're hiring union actors, quite often everyone needs to be union.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a bit like 3 words, man. What's going on? It's just be 3 words. They don't have to pay me or anything. It's fine.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a topic we didn't cover, but we'll talk about it after the questions.
Yeah, I've already seen it in the chat.
Big new controversy. Okay. I think we covered that. I want Sega and Capcom. Topp. Hello, panel. With more and more games being open world, what do you think What do you think makes a game need or warrant an open world over just a linear story path? P.S. How on earth do my fellow Patreons have questions each week? Some questions get repeated.
Yeah.
What makes it need or warrant it? I don't think there's much that needs or warrants an open world, if I'm being frank.
It's an interesting question.
I think more often than not, it's more often than not, it's clearly a choice because they want you just living in the game and not leaving it.
Open worlds can be great, but
Yes.
the problem is that unfortunately they can be mostly padding.
Yes,
right?
when they're too big.
And that can get a little bit boring and ridiculous. I get why people love them because they love map games or whatever. I think games that have arguably done open worlds in more unique ways that isn't just stuff like GTA. I think GTAs and Red Dead's, they are the pinnacle of tech coming together to create that kind of open world. Like, I don't particularly like the way they play, but all of the routines and the systems doing their thing is really, really good. Stuff like Zelda Breath of the Wild, like I didn't particularly like the game, but the open world was designed in a way that really supported it. And whereas if I look at something like Halo Infinite, whilst I really enjoyed my time in it, it is a big way to just put missions in and just let you just be on a Halo ring, right? So there's a bunch of different design decisions that go into doing them. I don't think games like 90% on that list probably don't need to be open world.
But you know what it is, though? I think the term open world is a bit... I don't know if it's even the right term anymore, because there's open worlds and there's open worlds. Like, I think it's more sandbox now. Like,
I like sandbox as a term. Yeah.
There's an open world like Red Dead, and then there's an open world like Shadow of Mordor. They're both open world games, but one's world is way, way smaller. But within that world, you can still do anything and go anywhere. So it's still an open world game. To me, I've got no problem with open world. I actually enjoy the idea of just being able to go around and do my own thing. That's why I love Crackdown so much. Crackdown's an open world game too, but it's small and it's focused, and the focus is on the beauty. What makes Crackdown great is that the focus is on what you're doing as opposed to, how do I explain it? Because you're still collecting, but the collecting has a purpose. So yes, the game wants you to collect 800 orbs, but there's an incentive to collect those orbs, because the more of those orbs you can collect, the more powerful you become, the more accurate you become with your gun, the faster you become, the stronger you become. You can jump higher to get to other orbs. Like, it's this... They struck this really nice balance of giving you the carrot, but it's not just... Like, in most open world games, in the vast majority of open world games, the collectibles are just there to be collectibles.
Yeah, they don't serve a
That's
purpose.
it.
They don't give you a gameplay enhancement.
No, there's no... They're just there as a checklist of stuff to do. There's no real reason for them to exist aside from that. Crackdown, and I'm not just talking about Crackdown 3, I'm talking about Crackdown as a franchise. Crackdown, Rand, be quiet. Crackdown, the way it's designed, yes, it's an open world, but it's only small. So it's not like it's overwhelming you. The focus is on the verticality. So it's not about, oh, look how big our world is and look how many icons we have. It's about, look how tall these buildings are. See if you can get to the top. And it's so much more fun as a result of that.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't... Like, it's just... that's why I loved Shadow of Mordor. Shadow of Mordor wasn't a giant open world. It was effectively 2 sections, 2 maps, very, very reasonable in size. And like Crackdown, the focus of Mordor was powering up so that you could take down armies of orcs. That's what I like. I like when the collectibles give me a reason to collect them, rather than just being a collectible for the sake of being a collectible.
Like another game that I think does open world, if we just take that as a term, Sea of Thieves, the whole purpose is it's open seas, and then you've got these islands where things happen, but because they've designed the game to be a sandbox first. So what's the phrase they use? Tools, not rules. So, like, again, I know, Nick, you get very bored of my love of Sea of Thieves, even though I've not played it for ages now because I've ground the game into a fine powder. but it still provided me with some of the most memorable moments. Like the moment where they first, just after launch, everything was a bit ropey, but they first introduced the speaking trumpet, and suddenly we could communicate with other players. And just out of those rules and the sandbox and the tools that we were given, this emergent moment appeared where we had to get a minimum of 5 players, which was more than one crew, to play the song, to summon the big shark and to fight it. And we'd already done it, and we'd met a ship earlier in the night that had taken us on and tried to sink us, and we'd beat them up. And then we saw them doing it like 3 hours later. They'd obviously found a crew, and they'd all camped out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we went and ganked them, and we could hear them over the speaking trumpet. Why are you doing this? And it was like delicious, like Cartman drinking tears, because for us it was revenge, and that's only possible because of the sandbox elements in play and the fact it was random encounters. And that's why I love Sea of Thieves game design. I don't think they get everything right, but open worlds can do incredible things for games, but they can also make me just turn it off because,
yes,
I've got 1,000 icons.
Yes, that's right, because there's 2 types of open world games. There's the Assassin's Creed Sony style of open world game where it's all about just collecting stuff and then go here and do this mission. And then there's the Breath of the Wild style open world where it's about systems working within the open world or the sandbox and how you use them. And that's where Halo Infinite tried to go. And I think they mostly succeeded. But Breath of the Wild, the reason everyone keeps referencing back to Breath of the Wild is because Breath of the Wild effectively executed on the idea of systems pretty much perfectly. Like, there's almost nothing you can't do in Breath of the Wild. And people keep discovering things they can do and how they can get to certain places and blah, 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 blah. And I think that concept works even better if your world is not overly large. I expect Tears of the Kingdom to be an evolution of that concept and a refinement. You're muted. And a refinement of what Breath of the Wild did so well. But I like that something like Mordor and Crackdown still take that concept but simplify it. So Crackdown, you can still go around and just blow stuff up if you want to. Or you can just do what I did, which is just go for the orbs and keep powering yourself up. See, Assassin's Creed 1 and 2, so I've seen Britt mentioning the feathers in Assassin's Creed 1 and 2. Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 got a pass because back then did it and made it a true...
OBS Studio disconnected. YouTube went down. We're back up now, though. You guys might need to refresh. YouTube crashed on their end. Not mine.
Oh, okay.
So people watching, if you have any hiccups in your video, it's just do a refresh. It should be fine.
Yeah, it's good. We're still live. We're still good. It's all fine on my end.
Yeah, we seem to be okay. I don't know what I was saying at the time we got cut off.
You were waxing poetic about Breath of the Wild, even though it's not that good.
Be quiet.
It's better than Mario Odyssey, I'll give you that.
Oh, yes, Mario Odyssey. Another game that does the... So, hey, blame Jesse. No. He mentioned it. So, Breath of the... Mario Odyssey is more in the vein of Crackdown. Like, as in... It's a bit more refined, smaller open levels, but the stuff you're collecting doesn't really technically have a purpose aside from allowing you to travel between worlds. So there's still a purpose to the collectibles. You can't go anywhere unless you collect the moons. They're the open world sandbox games that I prefer. The ones that give you a purpose to the collectibles. Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 got a pass because they were the first. So... people weren't burnt out on that formula of here's a million... Like, I loved Assassin's Creed 1 and 2. Loved them. Loved Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City and San Andreas. But back then, that genre and everything like that was still new. So we weren't as burnt out on it. I am glad, though, that Mirage appears to be going back to the roots. I'm not talking about Mario Odyssey anymore. I'm not even talking about Mario Odyssey.
Oh, chips.
Yes, Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 though were at the time. Like, do you remember I still remember playing Assassin's Creed for the very first time, and I was blown away. I'm like, how cool! Like, because I'm big into stealth as well. So it was amazing to have this guy who was just cloaked and he's walking through the crowd and disappearing into the crowd. You get your little knife out and it's like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then you get away from them on the rooftops. I would die for Assassin's Creed to go back to that. I can't wait for the Ninja one, the Ninja Assassin's Creed. I reckon that's going to be amazing. If they get it right and it's all about the stealth and sneaking around and taking guys out silently, that Assassin's Creed Japan game that's with ninjas, oh, good lord, that's going to be good. As long as it's not just this big map filled with icons I need to get, I reckon that's going to be so good.
We will see.
We'll see.
Good question, though. Thanks.
Yeah, for such a short question. Ended up with like the longest answer. Skedaddle. Nick, let's show some love to the recently released Halloween-themed DLC in Kao the Kangaroo. Jesse, make sure the little girl pointing her finger shows her displeasure with Jon for missing last week's episode. Is the little girl up? Is she up?
Oh, she's up. You guys, it takes like 7 seconds for you guys to see it, but yeah, she's there. She's pretty pissed.
Yeah, there she is. There she is. Bloody YouTube lag. If only we were on Mixer. That'd be better. What about Kao the Kangaroo? I haven't played that game. I actually haven't played it. Is it any good? It looks fun.
Yeah, I think so.
Like it looks.
We did a review,
like...
didn't we? Someone said it was all right. Soul Blazers did it, didn't he?
Kao the Kangaroo.
He gave it a
looks
7.8, but he is pretty big on giving high scores.
Like, it looks like a game reminiscent of the action platformers of the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
It looks fun. I wonder if it's on Game Pass. Is it on Game Pass?
No, I don't know. It's not.
Maybe gift it to me, Skedaddle, because I'm a tight ass.
Don't do that, Skedaddle.
Well, at least I admitted it. I admitted that I'm a tight ass.
Oh, dear.
God. Unless I'm buying an Apple product. In which case, it's a little bit different. Okay. The Ashen Cohen 09. 2 questions. What is your go-to game at the moment? Hello, Rocket League. What was the first ever game you remember playing as a kid? Ooh.
Well, for a go-to game, still Halo Infinite Forge. Is that a game? Does that count? I have no idea. But it's definitely my go-to. Proteus is coming up in second place, though. First game you ever played. First one.
No. First game you remember playing.
Yeah. It's either, and kudos to Jesse if he can find some footage of this, it's either Elite on the BBC Micro or Repton, I think it was called, on the BBC Micro. Good luck finding footage for Repton.
The first game I remember playing, it's one of 2, and I can't remember which. The first game I remember playing, and it's because my great uncle, isn't that what you call your grandfather's brother? Is your grandfather's brother your great uncle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My great uncle had one of those TVs that had Pong built in. With the paddles.
That's how old you are.
Yeah. So when I used to go to his house, because he lived around the corner from my grandfather, I used to make them take me there so I could play, because it was a game in a TV. So I think it was Pong, or my cousin, who also lived in the same suburb, had an Atari, and I remember playing Pitfall Harry on his Atari. So it was probably one of those 2. My memory isn't super clear on which.
Man. I'm on nostalgia lane right now. I'm watching Repton.
Isn't that Boulder Dash?
Nah, it's Repton.
Man, that looks like Boulder Dash. Did Boulder Dash copy that, or did that copy Boulder Dash?
I don't know, man. This is
I mean, most of the
BBC
games
Mike.
back then just were all IP theft.
Yeah. But that's Boulder Dash. I used to play the crap out of Boulder Dash. I used to have it on PC. I need to look up which one came first, Repton or Boulder Dash. I need to look that up. I used to love Boulder Dash. That was so good. Wow.
I can say right now, Repton is a ripoff of Boulder Dash, which came out 1 year before.
Haha.
1984,
Wow.
1985.
Told
Go
you.
figure.
I used to love Boulder Dash. Boulder Dash was so good. Someone needs to remake Boulder Dash. Just a nice little 2.5D thing. To me, that's the sort of stuff that could go on Game Pass. Cool little stuff like that.
I promise you, they've got a lot of stuff like that. Maybe not,
Yeah,
know,
but it's-
95 years old, but there's a ton of smaller games on Game Pass.
I'm sure
I'll say
there
Repton
is.
looks a hell of a lot better than Boulder Dash. Boulder Dash looks like shit.
I didn't say it was the best, most graphically intensive game. I just said I love playing it. We're talking about 1985, dude. Like, I should think I was 5 years old.
That other game was this was 84, and then Repton was 85, and it looked so much better. Disgusting.
Oh, well, that's because he had Boulder Dash to rip off and improve on. It's like how Saints
all
Row
right.
looked
It's
better
not-
than Grand Theft Auto 3. Like,
not
visually looked better.
It's not.
Oh,
It's not
sorry, I thought I had the gameplay up. Here you go. This is Boulder Dash.
Oh my god, Repton
Yeah.
is way cooler.
Yeah. But that's, like, there's other ports of Boulder Dash that look a bit nicer than that. I didn't play that one. I played another port which looked a bit nicer. It was probably the PC one. Which looked better than Repton.
Anyway,
But Boulder Dash was, I love Boulder Dash. Such a good. Oh god, that's bringing. Watching Jesse play that video now, it's bringing back so many memories. I used to love playing Boulder Dash so much. Oh, it was
those
so
are the
good.
days.
Look at that. Like, that's a puzzle game. And then you got to figure. Then it starts chasing you, and you got to figure out to get the boulders to drop. Oh, I love stuff like that. Don't
They
give me
actually
AAA
made
stuff.
I had never heard of this game before, but they made a tribute to it in that Arcade Paradise game that I reviewed earlier this year that has all like the little bespoke arcade games in it. There's one that's almost exactly like that.
Yeah. Boulder Dash. I loved stuff like that. I still love stuff like that when I see it. It's cool. Like, I love little games like that. Short. They're not puzzlers, but like, I don't know. Almost like time wasters. Boulder Dash was great like that. I'm so old. Okay. Hugh. Howdy, guys. Hope you're all doing well. My question to you this week is hopefully quite simple. Outside of JRPGs and fighters, which genres do you think are Xbox's biggest holes from their first-party output? Then, as a follow-up question, do you feel Xbox need to fill these genre holes, and who would you choose to fill them? I have listed a few genres which may apply below. You don't need to read them out. And he's got a whole bunch here. Party trivia, puzzle, board games, sports, family games, life simulation, city simulation.
said don't
sports
read 'em
simulation. I am anyway. Turn-based strategy, 4x strategy.
4X
Stealth
games.
horror.
It's
I don't know
people
what that
know.
is. Stealth, horror, survival, pop culture, superhero games, third-person action adventure games, cinematic and narrative adventure games. Yeah, JRPGs and fighters.
Cinematic
Yeah.
narrative adventure games.
Just
They're
Sony
coming.
third-person over the shoulder. Like, that's it, really. I mean, EA covers sport and 2K. So
I
they
think
don't really have to worry
think
about those.
genre-wise though, Microsoft have a lot of those gaps
Everything
filled.
covered.
They do
Pretty
need
much everything
more
covered.
kids games directly
Yes,
from
kids games. Kids games.
first party studios. Like when I say kids games, I don't mean low budget, kind of boring run
Good
of the mill
stuff. Like
crap.
Astrobot.
Like,
High quality
like
stuff.
really
Astrobot, Ratchet, Super Mario Odyssey.
fun
Like
stuff.
high budget, high quality stuff. Yes.
Yeah,
Like
that's what
a Banjo remake. Or a new Banjo.
sure would
or
be swell.
Or a Blinks. Or a...
Yeah,
I don't know. They've got so many IPs they could utilize. Like, well, I mean, they're going to have Crash. They're going to have Spyro. So those would appear to be no-brainers. Yeah, like, they have the IP. They just got to use it.
yeah. Well, they need the teams to build them. That's the things. But yes,
Well, they're going to have, like, 74 studios. Like, the teams are there. Oh, Jesus.
it's gonna be
How many more
great.
teams do they need? Just give me Sega and Capcom. Don't worry about ABK. Who cares about ABK? Okay. Cade Forever. Oi, bruvs. I was watching Xbox Era's #1 nemesis, Colin Moriarty. Joking, don't ban me. I was about to say, why is he our nemesis? We don't really interact with him.
Nope.
And he had a really good segment about what games actually deserve to get proper remakes, like Resident Evil 2 and Final Fantasy 7, rather than have this bullshit Horizon nonsense. So I ask you, fine gentlemen, what games do you think is deserving of this? As I was thinking about it, 2 games immediately came to mind. Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie. The other Jet Set Radio Future. Fun Snapple fact for you. Flamingos turn pink from eating shrimp. Fact 11.
It's true. That is true. They're grey when they're born.
Really?
Yeah. Did you not know that?
No.
Oh, yeah. They
So what if they ate grapes? Would they turn green?
No, there's a specific chemical in shrimp that causes the pink tint to their feathers and skin.
Oh, right. So it's not like a camouflage type situation.
No. It's not like if they eat camouflaged food, they turn camo coloured. It is
They eat carrot, they turn orange.
Yeah,
they
no,
eat
it's not how it
grapes,
works.
they turn green.
But yes.
Games that deserve a remaster. Yes, Banjo-Kazooie, Maximo, and Maximo versus Army of Zin.
Hang
are
on,
games.
remaster or proper remake? Because I think he's saying proper remake.
Either or. Maximo, there is nothing like Maximo on the market at the moment, as far as I'm aware. Maximo is just like a third-person adventure platformer, but it's melee. It's not guns. It's not like Ratchet and Clank with like guns and weapons. It's ghosts and goblins in a 3D action platformer. That is what Maximo is, and there's nothing like it now. And the original game, outside of its camera controls, the original game holds up. So if you can remaster it with all brand new and it's slightly more modern controls and modern elements. I mean, look at that. Jesse's playing it now. Look at that. Oh, look at that. It's amazing. Double jump and look at it. Look how good it is. Oh, Maximo was... They're the sort of games that I could just sink my teeth into. Like, you could upgrade your stuff and... Maximo was so good. Like, imagine that, like, remastered and it's all moderned up and...
Remade more than remastered.
Yeah, sorry, remade. Sorry. Yes. See how you could upgrade your stuff and you have certain abilities and this was all back in the early 2000s. It's like, it's all commonplace stuff now, but back then, this was fairly new concepts. Look at it, all the hidden spots. Oh, look at it, man. Look at it. Look at Maximo. It's so good.
Looks okay.
Did you ever play it?
No.
Really? Did you have a PlayStation 2?
Yeah, I had a PS2.
And you never got Maximo?
I never got Maximo.
Oh, man. I bought them digitally on PlayStation 3 as well. Like, those games, like... Yeah. And especially, like... Because Microsoft needs more kid-friendly games, that... If Phil was watching this podcast, I'd love to DM him. Dude, go to Capcom and say to them, guys, you're doing nothing with Maximo. We will help you fund it. We will fund it, get it on Game Pass. We'll pay for the remasters to get a gauge of the interest. Chuck them on Game Pass, and then we'll do a Maximo 3. Let's do it.
I've just seen Widger in the chat with the much better idea. Go to Australia. Go meet with the team.
Bluey.
Give me a Bluey game.
Oh, a Bluey game would smash it. Smash it.
Yeah.
But you have to do it in that art style. You don't do a full-on 3D.
Exactly. Yep. 2D. Like, I don't know.
Like the Peppa Pig game. Like the Peppa Pig game, how it looks... No, but you know how the Peppa Pig game looks like the cartoon?
Yeah. It's exactly
you
the same.
have to have the Bluey game look exactly like the cartoon.
Oh, man. Did you... Did I tell you about the episode that got banned?
No.
Did I not tell you this?
Banned where? Banned where?
in America.
I was about to say, it probably wasn't banned here.
It was banned and it was not allowed on Disney Plus, and it was the family meeting episode, which is an absolute cracking episode, which is where Dad is accused of fluffying in Bluey's face.
Oh, he's accused of farting.
Yeah. Dad
Yeah,
fluffied in my face, and they have a family meeting to get to the root cause of who fluffied. And
Why was that banned?
Because it's about farts.
So?
They allowed it through eventually.
Eventually.
They made it through.
But initially,
But
it was
why?
banned.
It's farting. Why? Like, I don't. What's with America? Like, I don't
Dunno.
understand that country. Like, I know
The right wingers here, who are extremely conservative, have generally been in charge of a lot of the rating stuff. So our rating systems, just by default, don't match what people actually think for the most part.
Like, at least in Australia, like, we're heavy-handed with video game banning, but at least we're banning, like, drug taking and, like, stuff that's actually bad for kids to be seeing. Why are you banning farts?
We ban we ban anything body, especially nudity, as you know, unless it's murdering the body, and then that's fine.
Yeah, you can dismember a body, that's okay, but God forbid
You can
see
lop a head
naked
off,
one.
but you can't show a butt.
Yeah, you can't show a bum or boobs, but oh God, you can chop legs off and heads off. That's all okay.
Mental. But yeah, sorry, random tangent on Bluey. But yeah, I'd love a Bluey game. But remasters or remakes for me,
Maximo.
I'd love to see a fully fledged remake of Mech Assault in some capacity. I would love to see a remake of Freelancer. And I'd love to see a remake, and total selfish reasons, Ninja Gaiden Black. No, not. Is this
neat?
brute force? I
Oh,
got really... not brute force.
If any game needs a remake,
Man, I remember getting this. Oh, it's the Halo killer. Oh wait.
Same engine.
Yeah.
That's the Blam engine. That's the Halo Infinite engine.
On display in all its power and glory. But yeah, Mech Assault for me would probably be the big one. Like just all of the destructible city environments and stuff. It was a lot more arcadey. You know, maybe bring in some more strategy to it. Online play was really fun. Never mind. It is what it is. Random interjection of a super chat, by the way.
Yeah, super chat. What are your games of the year so far? My one, Sifu. I still haven't played Sifu. I'm waiting for it to come to Xbox.
it's all right. I played it on PC. It's pretty good.
My brother loves it. It looks fun. It looks like when I first saw it, I was like, "This looks like something I would thoroughly
Nick.
enjoy."
It's one of the hardest things I've ever played, so you probably
I know.
won't like it.
Yeah, but I like the combat of it. I like the idea of just that martial
Did
arts
you ever
combat.
play Absolver?
No.
Yeah, it feels better than that one, but it's real tough.
I'll wait for it to come to Xbox, or maybe I'll buy it on Switch on a sale, so I don't have to worry about getting really difficult trophies. Yeah, I'll either get it on Switch or I'll wait for it to come to Game Pass, because I don't think it's got like a lifetime exclusivity or something like that.
No.
But my game of the year at the moment is Tunic.
Yeah, I'd probably say it's the same for me.
Tunic?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Tunic on God mode you have to add in because neither of you would play it without that.
No,
I
I've
think that's so bad.
played it both ways. The combat was pretty rough, but
I played it on God mode.
um,
Not because I found the combat bad though. I didn't find even before I switched on God mode, I did not find the combat that bad. It was pretty much what I expected a Zelda clone's combat to be.
Yeah.
it's just for me personally, game wise this year, it's not been that great for me. Just
Yeah,
on a
not a lot's
personal
grabbed me.
taste, not a lot has really like made me jump up and pay attention. Immortality
Yeah.
got me for a few nights where I was like, this is mental. Like, and I love the unique take, but yeah, Tunic was like, this is so wonderfully deep and
Yeah,
considered
so
in
good.
its game design that I could not think of a more
And
fun
polished.
title.
And
Yeah,
it
it was just really, really, really good.
yeah, I loved it. Kirby. Kirby's up there for me
Mm.
as well. The Kirby. Oh god, I've already forgotten its name. But Kirby's Dream World, whatever it is, the new one, that's up there. But I think Tunic right now. I haven't played God of War yet. I will be playing that come November. So who knows? Maybe God of War. I mean, God of War was my game of the year 2018. Who knows? Maybe 4 years later, God of War Ragnarok is my game of the year 2022. But as of right now, it is Tunic. So it's not a Nintendo game. So at least on the Xbox Era Game of the Year thing, you won't be seeing a Nintendo game under my name like you do most other years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Last year was Metroid Dread. One of the other years was a game like Tunic. Zelda... The remake.
A Link to
Zelda,
the Past.
Link to the Past remake that
Yeah.
looks like a lot like Tunic. So it makes sense that those two games would be my games of the year. I just like little games like that.
Yeah, I mean, the only other one that really I had a lot of fun with was Escape Academy. It's nowhere near Game of the Year. It was just, I had fun. And it's nice to have fun and just and have to think through a game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, it's not been a great year for games for me
Yeah, me too.
personally. But arguably, that's probably a good thing because I've had a lot on.
Yeah.
So
Next
it's
year is
all
going to be
worked
off
out.
the charts, though.
Next year I'm going to be very, very
crazy.
busy. Yeah, it's good.
Next year starts with Dead Space. It starts with Dead Space.
It's going to be a long.
Can you get me a code for that, Jesse?
If they
You
give
have-
us
you have-
more than one.
Yeah. Make him do something.
No, I want that game more than anything. I love that.
I
series.
do
One of
plenty.
my favorites.
I do plenty. My contribution's not as like
Visible.
obvious.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
My
People are like-
contribution is what?
Why do I keep doing so much? And it's because I really want to play these games. So it's worth it.
Yeah. My contribution is more at a support foundational level. Like, yeah.
It's just the talent, mate. It's the talent.
Keeping it all together. Like, you can't really put a work measurement or a price on the abuse I get being the face of it. And being the umbrella that shields all of you from the abuse.
You've got her. You've got her this time. The little girl's on you, man.
You can't put
Jesse,
a price on that.
Can you do me a favor? I did play this. I'm sure I played this on the PS2, I want to say. Or Future Cop LAPD. Why does this ring a bell?
Yeah, that name does ring a
I
bell.
really, really remember it. I really remember loving this.
PlayStation 1.
It may well have been PS1.
Yeah, that name rings a bell to me too.
I
didn't play it, but the name rings a bell. I used to work at EB, so I used to see all the games.
Yes, I've played this. I loved this game.
Future
Holy
Cop.
shit.
That looks like Syndicate.
It does. And that's probably why I picked up. I used to love the Syndicate Wars back in the day. Was an incredible title.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I've
And
played
remember
this.
Crusader? No
Yeah.
Remorse? Oh, how good was Crusader No Remorse? That was so good.
Do you
And
remember
Loaded.
it was
Reloaded.
on Amiga? It might have been on other platforms because I know that obviously everything went everywhere. I think it was called Walker. And it was like you were this mech and it was 2D and you stomped along, but then you had like mouse control in front of where you were walking and you could kind of shoot the ground and then flip it up to shoot things. Yeah, there it is. That was really good fun. Walker was pretty
I
cool.
remember that. I remember that. Looks interesting.
And what else did they have? Man.
But as you can all see, this is why when you hear old people like me and John talk about games, we don't care about graphics. Look what we used to play. We don't care about graphics. We used to sink hours into games that looked like this. For us, this was our best graphics. We don't care if the shaders aren't the most amazing thing. That's why we care about 60.
Oh,
The
look, I
irony
remember
being-
murdering all the little guys.
That there was more 60 FPS games back then than there is now.
Yeah. So there's loads of stuff like that I remember from the Amiga days. I remember one There was Pushover, which was sponsored by Quavers. You had Zool, but there was one in particular, Cannon Fodder, which we've seen.
Yes, I remember
Cannon
that.
Fodder. Cannon Fodder was great. And I used to play a game on the PC, and I think it was either called Lone Ranger or Army Ranger. And it was like you'd start at the bottom of the map, and the map would kind of be going up, and it would be trying to pretend it's 3D like that, but it wasn't. So everything, like all the sprites were kind of like angled to make it look like you were looking up, and you have to stealth up. Oh, and Desert Strike. Do you remember all the Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, all the helicopter games? Oh, but can you imagine a modern, like absolutely nuts graphics Desert Strike game?
Yeah, I know. And they don't have to change the perspective. Just take the existing game.
No, that's not it, Jesse. I'm going to find it.
That's the only one I found.
Modern up the controls a bit, but just give it new graphics. Like, sometimes that's all you have to do. You don't have to complicate it. Sometimes you can keep it simple. There's nothing wrong with that.
I found it. It's Airborne Ranger. 1998 PC DOS by Microprose. What a game. What a game. Oh my god, yes. You used to have to pick up the parachute.
Yeah.
Oh,
I actually
man.
remember that.
I loved this game so freaking much. You had the little trenches and you could like hide underneath.
Yeah, there's so many old games like that you forget about until you see them again.
And you just fall in love with them.
Yeah.
Oh, it was nuts. Anyway,
yeah.
Random tangent. Thanks, patrons, for taking us on this ride.
Atomic Runner on the Mega Drive.
Oh,
stuff like that was cool. Okay.
The good old days.
Yes. Good old Collingwood. Hello, John, Nick, and Jesse, but especially John, because I don't think there is any better reason to miss the podcast than to go to a performance of the Book of Mormon. Hope you liked it. So this week's question is just for John. Forge is coming. I know the NDA is still in force, so you can't tell us anything about the final plans regarding the launch of the beta. But are you going to do something special to introduce Forge Infinite to the gaming public? Something like a video introduction or a basic tutorial to get started with Forge?
What a wonderful question. Yes, I can't talk about anything yet. I'm hoping that changes in the last few weeks as we run up to launch.
They have one last video on Monday coming out.
They do. Forge. They have a video on how you can share content and publish content across their UGC platform. I don't even know what this is going to look like yet. I know how it works currently in the current builds, but I have no idea what the front-facing web side of things is going to be. So yes, excited. And are we going to do anything cool? Yeah, we are. Come on, of course we are. So I will certainly be. I'm not allowed to record my build. So as and when, I don't know if I'm going to get the public build on the day, if I'm going to get it a little bit early, but as and when, I would record some tutorials. I'll definitely put some stuff together. We will obviously, as a team, be doing something for launch. And I'm looking forward to actually giving people a really proper tour of Curfew, how it was made, a lot more of the details so people can see it, and obviously get it into people's hands and do some play tests. That'll be fun. Maybe we'll do a community play test of the new map.
We have a Twitch page. You could even stream yourself showing people how you make stuff.
I think that's what I will plan to do, sir. So yes, there's lots of cool stuff coming, and we'll make some noise about it as we come up to launch. There you go. That's the answer to that one. And yeah, Book of Mormon was great, as always. Really, really good show. You should go see it, Nick, if it's anywhere near you.
Okay.
You would love it.
It's been here before. It
is hilarious.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Mort. Hello there.
Oh, no.
Favorite island in Greece and why? Hugs, Mort. Santorini.
Yeah,
the ones I've been to, Santorini.
Yeah, that one.
Like
I've been to Santorini. Yeah,
when we went in 2018 to Greece, Santorini was the fondest memories I have. And look, that's a little bit spoiled by the fact that we stayed in a really nice, expensive resort in Santorini. That helped cloud my judgment on how good Santorini actually was. But I did enjoy the shopping there and the way the island was laid out. Also, the hotel I stayed at, I became really good mates with the barista. Shocking, I know. Because he was like the only person in Greece that made me a coffee that was like close to the level of the coffees I get here in Melbourne. So we became like full-on mates. Like we added each other on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. Like we became friends. So every night that I was at that hotel, I'd go out of my room at like 11 o'clock at night and just have a chat with him and say, Mitza, Ella, let's have a coffee, and get him to make me a coffee. But yes, Santorini was my favorite by far.
Yeah, I can only concur. Oh,
Have you been to Greece?
Yep. When I was very, very
Okay.
young, I went on a holiday with my grandparents. I went to visit a water park.
Yep.
A very burly man. This is a true story, and I'm making light of it because it wasn't that big of a
It's a
deal.
Brit thing. The water park is a Brit thing. Because when
Oh,
we
yeah,
went to
I
the
was-
water
dude,
park
I
in
was eight.
Greece,
I was 8.
when we went to the water park in Greece, there was Brits everywhere. I was hearing more English than I was Greek when I went to those water parks.
Yeah,
It was just
mate,
Brits
we don't have the
everywhere.
weather for water parks over here, really. Like the closest we get is like a centre park, so it's mostly indoors, right?
Okay.
But yeah, I was in a water park and I did kind of I don't want to use too strong a word. Let's just say manhandled under the water by a rather large 50-year-old Greek gentleman. To which point my head came up out of water when I realized what he was trying to do. I was like, Granddad! And that guy, like, I've never seen a fat dude run so fast. It was funny as fuck. But yeah, go figure. Bloody Greece. Never went back,
bloody
funnily
Greece.
enough. Wasn't that pleasant.
Maybe that's where we could go for the Xbox era meetup.
Well,
Go to
Greek in a
Go to
water park.
Santorini. Go to Santorini.
We only need
Live.
about 7 years of Patreon money.
Live from the Santorini water park.
Oh,
How good
someone
would that
splashed
be?
the PC. Bzzzt. Never mind.
I could be a light source with how pale and white I am.
Yeah.
I could literally act as a light source for everyone.
Put
Okay,
you under a neon beer light. You look pretty cool.
maybe. Last question. Whew. Phalaxis. Hello, John and the scrub that lies. It's been a while between questions. Hope you're all doing well. Many, many years ago, roughly 1987, I was on a kids' TV show in Australia called Romper Room. Oh, God, I remember that show. Pretty sure it was in other countries too. And the host was Miss Kim. Last night, I was out for dinner with my wife, celebrating our 6th wedding anniversary at a nearby restaurant, quietly enjoying our dinner, and my wife notices Miss Kim at another table. I sat there, awkwardly pondering whether I should ask for a photo. I'm generally a shy person and couldn't work up the courage to do it. I knew I would regret it if I didn't get one, so I asked the waitress to help me out. She obliged, and I got myself a pic with Miss Kim. So my question to you is, have you ever been on TV? I don't think I have. I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of. I have not been on TV, no.
I
don't think so.
have been on TV. And it was we had to pay. It was a showcase gig thing for a band, well, my band at the time when I was a kid. And we had to travel up to London and we had to pay and sign all these forms, and it was for like a middle of the freaking night, like almost like cable access TV show. And they didn't really have those, but I think it used to air on, I want to say it used to air on Channel 4 back this would have been in 1999 maybe.
Yeah.
And yeah, we did that and we ended up watching it, and it was as terrible as you could imagine.
What is your
but-
band's name?
Oh God, what would it have been back then? Marta. You'll find lots of
As in
Marty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
That
Tyr.
Marta. Yeah.
Yeah. I doubt you'll find a video like on YouTube anywhere. I certainly
I
haven't.
might have been in the background on something like a variety footy show because I went into the live audience, and it's when it pans across stuff. I may have been
Yeah.
in the background on something, but not in any real way. No.
But there are videos of my band out there. Like there's a video of a song called Pions, which one of my friends who was at uni studying media made a music video as one of her projects, and it's like lots and lots of clips from the early noughties with all of us kind of like monging about and being idiots. But it was a good laugh. But yeah, that's the only time I've been on TV, really. The YouTube adverts I did for Microsoft, I don't think they ever aired on TV, but you can find them on YouTube somewhere. And you can find me doing a grunt voice for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it for community questions. Are we going to talk about Gotham Knights or not?
Jesse has not got a lot of time. So
I don't think it'd be a long one. It's just pretty much I don't know why they would decide to not have a mode that could do 60 frames per second.
So that there was a very recent controversy where I think Akami Games, the Twitter account Akami Games, was the first to mention it, I think. Because they found it on Resetera, a poster on Resetera who alleged to have a copy of the game early was like, this is only 30 FPS and doesn't have any performance modes. And that caught fire, and everyone was like, what? I mean, even my tweet about it, I was shocked at how much engagement it got. Because I was like, yeah, nah, if it's only 30 FPS, I'm not interested. I don't do 30 anymore. Like, even PlayStation's games, I've been playing them when they get patched for the PS5 at 60. I just don't do 30 anymore. I'm willing to sacrifice any graphical options to get to 60.
Yep.
I don't care. And then the developers confirmed it. And then there was this Rocksteady developer who... Yeah. Not sure he should have opened his mouth with his tweet history.
Yeah, it was a bit awkward, wasn't it?
With his vendetta against the Series S and basically blaming the Series S. Again, doing the Twitter fanboy argument thing of the Series S holding everyone back when... Isn't frame rate tied to CPU?
Yep. Predominantly, usually.
So given that the Series S technically has a better CPU than the PS5, wouldn't the PS5 be holding back Gotham Knights?
Well, RAM on the Series S is another bottleneck. But yeah, this guy clearly has a bit of a weird vendetta and probably will be a spot of bother come Monday morning with his leads, because there's no way that's not been seen by many of his colleagues, and it will probably get a bit awkward.
But someone dug up his history. He hates the Series S. Like, he has a real hate boner for the Series S. Like, it's bizarre. And it's like, dude, you know that the last 2 years that no one's been able to buy a Series X and a PS5, the Series S has kind of saved people and allowed them to play next-gen games at a reasonable price.
Yep.
Like, maybe developers need to stop constantly trying to push the envelope of visuals. How about that? Like, did any of you guys ever think of that? Like, there's only so far... Like, when you're playing a game, at some point, you kind of stop noticing the visuals, no matter how good they look. There's exceptions to the rule, obviously, like everything. But you kind of forget, as I said earlier, the most popular games in the world aren't the best looking ones. Like, what more... Like, I feel like now... I reckon our visuals, even back in Gen 7, were pretty good. Like, I don't know how much better graphics need to get. I know they can get better, don't get me wrong.
Gameplay now, gameplay and responsiveness. And I will never understand this whole, it doesn't matter to me. Like, it should.
It should. That's what you're doing. That's literally how you interact with the game. Yeah. Is how it feels and how it plays. Like, look how much better all these Horizon Zero Dawns and Last of Us Part 2, they all play and feel better on PS5 because they're running at 60 now.
Yep.
The graphics are still the same. Actually, if anything, at 60 they look a bit nicer. 60 actually helps improve how they look too. Like, that should matter more. How a game plays and runs should matter more than whatever. If you can achieve both, awesome. But like they're sitting there saying, "Oh, sorry guys, we can only do 30 because it's 4K and ray traced." So get rid of the ray
they've
tracing.
said the reason is that it's because it's an untethered open world. So either co-op person, and it's always drop in, drop out, so it has to be ready for that at any time. So they're saying because we have this big open world and you don't ever have to be in the same place, we don't have a tether, that it just ends up using up too much CPU and we couldn't push to 60.
See,
That's
I hate
their
that
reasoning.
excuse as well. I hate that excuse as well. Like, untethered co-op. So then why play co-op? Why play? Isn't the whole point to be together? So if you want to be on one side of the map and they're on this side of the map, then you're not really playing co-op anymore. It's just like a shared world online game that you two happen to occupy. Like, the whole point of co-op is... I never understood the untethered co-op thing. Now, I'm not saying you should be tethered next to each other, but the way Halo did it was great, and I never noticed and thought, oh god, it's not letting me get away from my co-op partner in Halo. In Halo CE, it was, or 2 or whatever, it was fine. And the way Gears of War did it was fine. Like, I'm playing Gears of War co-op because I want to be there together with my co-op partner taking people down. I'm not sitting there thinking to myself, man, I sure wish I could go to a completely different part of this game and be away from my co-op partner. I never understood the tethering thing in co-op games. Like, it's
And I
so
also
weird.
don't understand how the Series S would hold back the X and PS5 from being able to hit 60.
That's
Plenty
right.
of games have a 30 FPS mode on Series S, and then
On
they go
Series
60
S.
on the others.
That's what I mean. That's why I'm like, this feels like it's just, they're not being completely honest about why it's 30. Because they're like, oh, it's 4K and it's ray tracing. Okay, so get rid of the ray tracing because ray trace reflections are a waste of space anyway. And make it dynamic resolution and reduce whatever else you need to reduce. And don't make it untethered co-op. Like, I don't understand. Like, to me, a game like Gotham Knights, you're playing co-op to make it look like a comic book movie where the two of you are together kicking everyone's ass. Why do I want to go do it on the other side of the map? Just weird decisions. Weird. It just sounds like unnecessary stuff. Like, that to me now, that game's going to feel sluggish to play now at 30.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
And the news pops right before launch. Right
And not even,
before
it wasn't
launch.
even a post. It was just a Discord message. Like, that's ridiculous.
Well, and it was a forced Discord message because of the controversy that blew up from a person on Reset that had a copy. Like, it's just, get your bad news out of the way early. So that way, by the time the game comes, people are over it or have forgotten about it. Like, there will be people
They've
that
screwed up big
genuinely...
time.
Yeah, there are people now... Like, I was even looking forward to this game. Now, I'm like, what? 30? No thanks. All right. If a performance patch comes later and they can get it to 60 on Series X and PS5 and work it out somehow, no worries. I'll have a look at it.
There might be another game that's coming out this week that is 30 frames.
Plague Tale.
Yeah.
Plague Tale.
Now, I have heard rumor that there's a day one patch for performance mode, but it's only rumor. As far as I know, it's only 30 FPS. But I
Guess that's
haven't
another
played
game
it, so
I'll
no.
avoid. But at least with Plague Tale, it's on Game Pass. Where Gotham Knights, you'd have to pay... Like, I'm not going to
70.
pay
Yeah, or
$110
110.
Australian. I'm not going to pay $110 Australian for a 30 FPS game just because they chose to go for native 4K and ray traced reflect. Is it ray traced reflections? I assume that's the only ray tracing.
It
'cause
just
that's the
says
only
ray
tracing
tracing on the store page. I don't know that they've said specifically what is ray traced or not.
piece. Well, I mean, this generation, that's the only type of ray tracing we've basically
No,
seen.
it's actually been a lot of shadows and like some ambient occlusion. Like there are a lot of different forms of ray tracing. Shadows ends up being one of the more popular because it's less computationally heavy.
I don't know. To me, this
The more you
generation,
know.
it's been mostly unnecessary stuff.
And I agree, Bradley Jones. And Nick should stop crying about Microsoft not having Capcom. He
What do you
does
mean
sound as bad
crying?
as Sony.
Who's crying? I'm not crying. I'm just saying that that's who I'd like. I'd like Capcom and Sega. I'm not crying.
Somebody catching up on the show.
I'm just saying
That was,
that's
How
that was
they
2 hours
like.
ago, buddy.
I
I'm just saying that's who I'd like. I'd like Capcom and Sega. Who's crying?
I
I'm a crying baby.
apologies for appearing distracted. So I found I was doing some digging. First of all, for everybody's entertainment as we wrap things up here, here's a picture of me with a full face of makeup, which is
Where is it?
moderately
Oh,
amusing.
there.
I'm waiting for
Oh,
Jesse
wow.
to do his
You almost
thing.
look fake. You
Yeah, it's
look
almost like I've got a
fake
filter
person.
on before filters existed.
Or you
right?
look like
But-
a Madame Tussauds
It's ridiculous,
wax,
isn't it?
like a Madame Tussauds wax model.
I had to go back to work after this. It was ridiculous. And I found it took a bit of digging, and it's actually not on Xbox's channel. It's on God, it looks weird, doesn't it? I don't look like a human being. I found the video, the advert that I think one of the adverts I was in. I think there was like 3 or 4 of them.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
There he is. So there you go. Go figure. Weird, but there you go. Those were the days. Me talking.
I love the
about
way
Halos.
Jesse keeps trying to capture a shot where you don't have your eyes closed or whatever, but it keeps on happening.
He's
You just have
failing.
your eyes closed in every pause.
The makeup though, ridiculous.
Oh no, I wanted his
Ah.
eyes closed. It's way funnier.
Yeah. Anyway,
The
look,
shot where
hey,
he's like,
doing duck lips.
you know, when you
Selfie
capture someone in
baby.
the middle of talking and they're just like,
It's the worst facial expression. There's one more super chat at the
oh, is there?
to close out the day.
Oh yeah, Mandingo. Any chance of a Manhunt remake? Oh man, that'd be cool. I don't think so, but
I doubt
that'd be
it.
cool.
Um,
If you want, the closest you're going to get to a Manhunt remake is playing it on Xbox Series X at 4K 60, where it's all upscaled and stuff.
There you go, John.
See? Thank God I bought the disc so I can play it in Australia, because that game got banned in Australia.
right,
But at least that's a decent reason to ban a game.
Oh man, I'm wearing that hoodie because I brought a Halo gaff back when Neo Gaff was okay, and they wouldn't
Yeah.
let me wear it. Oh, it's branded. You can't wear it. So can you please wear this hoodie instead? I was
Okay.
like, okay. It's like 4 sizes too big for me.
I need to make that
really?
as an emoji for this YouTube channel, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
John Guy.
I don't know. I think makeup face is more hilarious, but there you go. Before we wrap things up then for the night, Jesse, anything exciting going on the channel and on the site next week?
Oh boy, yes, there is going to be. I can't give time frames because it's all embargoed, but we are going to have a Plague Tale Requiem review. We are going to have Persona 5 Royal, which I've been playing all weekend, and that game's been out for 3 years, so I can say I'm actually liking the game quite a bit, but I can't talk about the port quality. So I have Plague Tale. Then we'll have Warhammer 40k Shooters, Blood and Teeth, which is a 2D side scroller.
Blood and teeth. Teeth.
Shooters, blood, and teeth.
That's better.
Go Wagga! But yeah. So then potentially Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, potentially Gotham Knights. They're both supposed to be coming. I just don't know when. We also have some more coming from Genghis. He did some smaller NIS America titles. And I think that's everything. We also had like 5 things go up this week. So if you haven't caught up, there's a ton of reviews. And yeah, it's a real busy time.
Phew. It's mad. And look, I forgot to mention it earlier, but we read out a community question, and I remember seeing Creaky Legs' name and then thinking, I'll make sure I remember this. And then I forgot. Creaky Legs, with all of his hilarity and his little shorts that he does on Twitter, we've actually asked him to sort of help out the team and bring some of that quirky fun to our YouTube shorts. And do some other fun things. So he's in behind the scenes now, helping us out, which is awesome of him, giving up his spare time to do that. But also means hopefully even more people get to see his sense of humor, which is often on point.
Geordie just pointed out to me there's a Boulder Dash Deluxe on Xbox.
There you go. Go and have some fun.
It's $22. Boulder Dash Deluxe.
That's a lot.
It is a lot for a Boulder Dash
Deluxe.
But I'm having a look at it now. Wow, look at that.
Wow.
Exclusive world designed by Peter Leaper, the original creator of Boulder Dash. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. And it's made to look kind of like the original graphics, but with voxels. That's cool. But then it's also got the new modernized graphics. Oh, man. I may need to buy this.
Oh, and I did add into the description that we're doing a charity drive on November 5th on Extra Life. So you can find in the chat as well.
Yeah. So there's lots going on. And one of my IRL friends who is watching the podcast live because he's stuck in a hotel late on a Saturday night, and I guess there's nothing better to do. He's actually found the one video where I'm on the thumbnail, which I've just linked in the chat for laughs. I think I do a grunt impression, so you can go laugh at me directly. But there you go. Been a good show. Ticked over that 3-hour mark by quite a way.
3.5.
I know. What is wrong with us? Get a grip.
3.5.
Oh,
I expected a long one, though. With the topics we had, I expected a long one.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Bring back the Christmas podcast where it's nice and quiet and relaxed, and there's nothing to.
What
really
do you mean?
worry about.
Like I want to turn that Christmas one into something with Jeff Grubb. Like I need to work on like some leaks and stuff for that show and turn it into like something that competes with the Game Awards. World premiere. You just need to put an open call out. Hey, if anyone here got rejected by the Game Awards, we'll premiere your stuff.
Hey, Thomas Sala, can we have your next game yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. If someone didn't make it onto the Game Awards and they get onto the XboxEra Grubsmas Special-tacular.
Yeah.
We just do
Why not?
You still have to pay us $10,000 though, just like the game.
Trailers, leaks. Oh man, how good would that be? That'd be pretty good.
Oh my god! I just realised that video I linked isn't just. It's not me and a bunch of randoms. That's me and 3 people I met playing Halo. So that's KP. I didn't even know this existed. What the hell, Vinny? Don't even know how you found this.
Wow.
I'm probably going to go watch this myself now.
I think I'm going to buy Boulder Dash.
Right. Well, that's one way to end the show.
It includes the original game. The original game's in there.
The keyword is ending the show. Ending the show.
I can mute him if you want.
Okay. But he has to say ciao for now. It doesn't work. We can't just end the show.
Ciao for now.
Are we going?
We're going. Yeah, we're going. Just ciao for now.
All right.
You can do it.
Ciao for now.
Bye, everyone.